Easter weekend in Nashville, Tennessee. A NASCAR tradition celebrating 10 years. Fans have come to expect first-time winners, and they love this super speedway that races like a short track. The atmosphere is just right for nationwide drivers rising from local fame to the national spotlight.
The path to racing prowess rises from the small towns of America. It is born in the dreams of drivers testing their will on local tracks for a chance of becoming one of the greatest in the world. Ambition is awakened in those moments. Every small victory, a glimpse of the dream, as they become what they were meant to be. Local tracks clocking miles of hope, 4 left turns, and a cloud of glory. In the heartlands of America, where legendary drivers have cut their teeth, steering out of obscurity into one of racing's grandest arenas.
Trevor Bayne at age 20, he's going to win the Daytona 500.
Young guns looking to prove their worth. Veterans pressing to realize their destiny once again. The fortitude to recapture that small-town local track spirit, to push themselves beyond the boundaries of a childhood fantasy, down the only victory lane that has ever mattered. Today, their road to glory starts on a track long on dreams.
And the journey begins at the Nashville Superspeedway, where it is a breezy, gorgeous day. And I join you down here on the grid. My name is Dave Burns, and happy to have you here on Countdown this afternoon. All the cars gridded up behind me, qualifying in just about 30 minutes ago, and we are excited to see you here today. You know, this track has had 19 different races, 14 different winners, and people have come to expect first-time winners at this track. 7 of them have scored their first ever Nationwide Series victory right here at this track. We mentioned qualifying finished up just about a half hour ago. Very busy day here. On the pole, Joey Logano in the 20 car. He wasn't even scheduled to be in this race over a week ago, and he is the fastest qualifier here today. You see, his 16th career pole. And Trevor Bayne was the second fastest today, that Roush Fenway driver. The best start of his season. He's trying to turn his season around and do the kind of thing he did in the Daytona 500. Yeah, that's chalk up wins. The third fastest qualifier today, Austin Dillon. It's not his first start in the Nationwide Series, but he's making the most of his first start with Kevin Harvick Incorporated. The equipment is very, very fast, and Austin has done a fantastic job with that race car. He, of course, is the grandson of Richard Childress, and his dad, Mike, has been involved in the sport for a long time. So, Austin, as we approach today's race, we already said it's not your first start in the Nationwide, so what does this start mean to you?
You know, it's a big start. Kevin Harvick's one of my heroes, and to be able to go race for him, it's a lot of fun. These are fast cars, and, you know, David Hyder has done a great job all weekend, and the Ream Chevy's really fast, so just looking forward to today's start.
You didn't have a great night last night in the truck, so what was the takeaway from that? Maybe something you're not going to do in your race car today?
Yeah, you know, just be patient. It's a long race, and I got to racing pretty hard there for third, and came back for a good finish, though, but we'll just have to be a little bit more patient and be there at the end today.
All right, we'll see how well he does. Again, he starts third here today. A fantastic start for this young driver. Well, we talked about the former winners in the field many times as we review Nashville over the years. And for Austin to win today, he's going to have to get through some really, really heavy hitters in this field. Take a look at this. These guys are all in the race today. 2 of them have won here more than once. You see Carl Edwards and Brad Keselowski, both multiple winners here. We will talk to both of them, and we start with Jamie Little.
Well, when it comes to Nashville, nobody else has won in the Nationwide Series more than this man, Carl Edwards, with 3 wins. Carl, what makes this track so different and fun for a driver?
Well, it's fast, but it's very smooth, and it's you know, the concrete kind of makes it unique. It's very difficult, and so it just requires every part of your team to work well. I mean, you got to have the whole package here. It's you know, qualifying included. We didn't qualify so well, but I think we've got a great race car, and I think that, you know, the 225 laps, the heat, the car's sliding around is going to play into our hands with our Ford Mustang. I think it should be good.
Well, I know what you love when we bring this up. You haven't been to Victory Lane since 2007, but you brought a new car here. What are your expectations?
Well, we have struggled here a little bit, and it's been really tough. I think that the new engine's going to be really good for us. The new FR9 is great. The Mustang has played into our hands pretty well. We've been able to take the changes that NASCAR made, and we've been able to adapt pretty quickly. So hopefully this is our turnaround race. Hopefully I can get another one of those guitars. It's probably the coolest trophy in motorsports, and we got a lot of good fans here today, and it seems like everybody's excited. So hopefully it turns out like it used to be before 2007. It was a lot better.
Well, a lot of your competitors saying you are the guy to beat. Carl Edwards will roll off 7th.
Well, Jamie, I think this guy might have something to say about that. Brad Keselowski also very good here at Nashville and on concrete. Whole new equation, though, this weekend with the new car. How have things gone for you?
Well, I think pretty well. We'd like to be just a touch faster, but, the races I've ran here, I don't think we've ever really had a dominant car. Just ran really smart races and been in the right position when it counts. So, I think our discount tire Dodge Challenger is pretty fast here today. It's not quite as fast as a 60 and 18, but we're going to work real hard and put ourselves in position to win at the end, and then I think we'll have a shot.
We've talked about this place being a great place for first-time winners, a place that produces a lot of those. You as well. What do you remember most about that night?
It was a great weekend. I got to come down here early and go to a concert with some of the NASCAR folks, and did a lot of great things that week. And it's a week that I'll never forget. But, probably the thing that sticks with me the most is just being in Victory Lane with my mom and dad for the first time as a NASCAR winner, as a driver. My mom and dad had owned a truck team growing up, and I'd been in Victory Lane with them as, just kind of the kid before. But now I was like the actual driver, and just how special that felt. And that was a whole team that had never been to Victory Lane as a group with Junior Motorsports at the time I was with, and to be with them in Victory Lane for the first time was very special as well.
I know Brad Keselowski will want another Gibson guitar so he can rock it, looking for a win here tonight in Nashville. Dave?
Thank you, Shannon. Edwards, Keselowski. Yeah, that's a pretty good rivalry in Nationwide, right? What about Ricky versus Trevor.com? Stenhouse and Bain cannot stop challenging each other to feats of semi-greatness. Our own Jamie Little cooked up a few challenges of her own and recently caught up with 2 of our favorite peeps.
I'm Jamie Little, joined by 2 of the NASCAR Nationwide Series drivers, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Mr. Trevor Bain. Now, these 2 guys, they're pretty good friends, and they're very competitive on the track, but they're really competitive off the track. Hence the name Ricky versus Trevor.com. All right, you guys, we have 3 competitions for you. First up, you guys have to eat 5 saltine crackers, and the first one to whistle wins.
I can't whistle. Can you whistle? Oh, no. I can't even whistle. This is a terrible event.
And I'm glad I don't have to share my microphone with you guys in this. Ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Set. Eat your saltines. That's got to be good first thing in the morning. How many crackers are going to spray out of their mouth right now? Look at this. He's like a chipmunk. Oh! No. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., you're one up. High five. You got it. Your task now, whoever can stick the most peeps in your mouth the fastest wins.
This is more peeps than I have Twitter followers. Is there a record for this?
I don't think many people just walk around stuffing peeps in their mouth.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Eat some peeps. So who has a bigger mouth, basically, is what, oh my gosh. Trevor is fixing to beat you right here. I'm the ref, and I'm going to say Trevor Bain wins it. What you're going to do, you have to put an Oreo cookie on your forehead, and you have to get it down to your mouth to eat it without using your hands. Ready, set, get your Oreo in your mouth.
This is hard. We look like dolphins.
Look at him. Oh,
Ricky, don't mess up. No! I'm not a morning person.
You got Oreo cookie all over your forehead. So, it comes down to this. Ricky Stenhouse, 2, Trevor Bain, 1. Bragging rights on Ricky versus Trevor. Congrats.
There's a competition I don't want to be involved in any way, shape, or form. Well, unless they invite me personally. You see Trevor's car right there? He qualified second. That white car with the red number 6, there is Ricky. So I guess Ricky versus Trevor lives on here today at Nashville. 300 miles of racing coming up here at Nashville Superspeedway. But first on Countdown, a look back at Talladega's great finish. Wallace to the front, Nemechek with the push. We'll hear from both drivers as well as this.
I didn't know if I was really supposed to be doing this or not. I felt like I could, but then again, you look at the numbers and the finishes and things like that, it didn't seem too promising. They gave up everything they could to start over to make a better life for their family. And that inspires me every single day.
It's Thursday afternoon. We're here at the Dollar General headquarters. We're actually getting ready to do an autograph session. Just having a good time, trying to give back to some of the employees and some of the vendors.
NASCAR Countdown is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Enter this code at CodeSpotter.com for a chance to win one-of-a-kind NASCAR VIP experiences.
And Dave Burns back with you here at Nashville for our ESPN NASCAR Countdown. Top of the hour, there's going to be a race here today, but some of you may still be talking about last week's finish at Talladega. Racing 2x2, some major crashes. You weren't sure who was going to win, and then the racing god smiled on the same guy again. Talladega had a lot going on.
It's one of the most amazing venues in sports, Talladega Superspeedway.
Looking for the green flag. It is in the air, and we're underway.
In the race, I wasn't sure who I was going to draft with or what was going to happen. We started mid-pack in the first run. I didn't have a partner.
I just got to get hooked with somebody. This is their run, man.
It was just kind of a necessity of needs. Joe was running well, but he got lapped.
I got behind him, and he was searching for somebody. As soon as I got behind him, I just started pushing.
Mike Wallace, I'm with you. Hey, buddy. Getting it on here. Come on.
We've got a couple of veterans that are really making it work, teaming up together.
That's Joe Nemechek pushing Mike Wallace.
Man, we were flying. We were flying.
I felt like old Speed Racer in the cartoon where you put the turbo boost button in and felt like I run 50 mile an hour faster. And that run us up through the pack.
Hey, Joe, you know you and I can run first and second one way or another here, so let's make it happen, buddy.
They're going for the lead now. This ought to bring the fans to their feet. Well, Talladega is a place where sometimes you get surprise winners, and maybe it's going to be a Mike Wallace or a Joe Nemechek.
Well, I honestly, the lead up to that final green-white checker, we had been leading on the previous green-white checker, and they kept wrecking on the back straightaway or spinning out, spinning. And I was thinking, why do they need to throw the caution? We would have won this race by now. So I'm lined up on the inside. Joe's lined up on the outside. We had agreed with, whatever. Let's get to the end, then we'll just race.
Get ready for green-white checker finish number 2.
Here come the Toyotas, busting it up the middle. Kyle Busch going for the lead on the final lap.
Look out! Trouble! Mike Wallace gets turned around.
Up and over.
Wallace is up in the air. Flips upside down.
Just felt all this drama inside the car.
Wallace gets back on all fours.
And realized when the car landed on all fours, like, all right, well, let's go, and fired it up and wanted to finish the race.
The race is going to end under caution. Kyle Busch is your winner.
I hope it just showed a lot of people that I can get it done, the team can get it done, and we need some help.
It was fun. He did a great job, to see two underfunded teams get up there and compete with the big guys. It was a pretty cool deal.
Wasn't that fun, everybody? And you thought I was talking about Sunday. No. I was talking about Saturday. There's Mike Wallace today starting 28th, and unfortunately, he doesn't have his drafting partner, Joe Nemechek, in the field with him today. Well, a guy who does not need a drafting partner, he certainly did last week, is Kyle Busch. Now, weren't you pulling for Joe and for Mike? I mean, your car was a wreck last week. How did it win?
I don't know how it won, but, I had a good pusher behind me there with Logano. He did a really good job. We got hooked up, and we made sure that, the rear bumper still had enough structure there where we could still push each other. And I thought to myself, man, this is going to be crazy if we're racing the 87 and the 01 for a win, but how cool is it to be racing those guys? We talk about it every week, the guys that are underfunded and don't have the budget to compete with the upper teams, but yet they were right there with us and giving us a shot for the win there. And if it would have went all the way back to the start-finish line, who knows? I think Joe probably would have won that thing. So interesting race, but today with the Z-Line Designs Furniture Camry, I'm looking forward to it and seeing if we can't maybe win another one here today.
Last night, you beat up on the truck guys a little bit. You led all but 10 laps. What does this track give you that you're able to take such advantage of?
Last night I kind of learned some things last year while I was here racing in the trucks, and that kind of helped me. And learning some different techniques about the racetrack. You know, it's concrete surface, so it does lend to be a little bit trickier than an asphalt track. So, you know, there's just some different aspects you try out there. And with the Nationwide cars here, with the new Nationwide car, it's different again. You know, so you're playing some new techniques there, and with the brakes, with the throttle, when do you pick up the gas, how hard do you get in the corners, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, today it'll lend a little bit to that. And there's some other guys that are pretty good, you know, and we'll see how it does. But Joey put up a hell of a lap there for qualifying, so good job to those guys. You guys mentioned he wasn't even supposed to be here, and he sits on the pole, so I don't appreciate that much. I'm sure none of the other guys do either.
Well, listen, you've kind of been getting the upper hand on him lately. If we look at the 1-2 finishes you guys have had over your career, you've gotten the last 4 of them, Kyle. So what's up with that? You got the advantage now there, too.
I don't know. It could change hands any day. You know, Joey's really, really good at what he does. Let's just not race at Kentucky, because I know if we go to Kentucky, he'll win. So, you know, we're in Nashville today, so we'll see how today plays out. But looking forward to it. You know, I don't know if we've got a car capable of winning, but it's a car capable of running up front. And if we make the right adjustments to it, we can be there at the end and certainly give Joey and whoever else a shot for the win here.
All right, Kyle takes Nashville. Jamie, will you let Joey know that he can have Kentucky?
Yes, I will let him know. By the way, Kyle says you can have Kentucky, but 3rd pole he captures in his 4th attempt here. Kyle says, I don't know if I have the car to win it. What do you think? Do you have the car to win it today?
I don't know yet. We'll see. I didn't think I had a car for the pole either. We really struggled a lot with our Harvest Investments Toyota there in practice. We weren't really good. And they made some improvements on it as we kept going. And by the end, I felt like we were okay. I felt like Carl was really the car to beat. And we'll just see what happens. You know, I think Adam, my crew chief, made really good changes because we were obviously able to put the thing on the pole. So we definitely got a shot at it for sure. And I think this race is going to come down to a lot of clean air too. So hopefully, starting up front there, we can get out towards the front. And plan is to stay out there and lead every lap, right?
That's right. That is the plan. But the plan wasn't for you to be here. As Kyle mentioned, you guys are leading the owner points. Didn't want to just sit out, but Sunday you got a call. How did you end up here?
Yeah, well, basically, yeah. I mean, I talked to Adam, and, you know, we were pretty bummed out, you know, after leaving Talladega and leading the owner's points and not being able to go racing the next week. And my father has some friends up in Connecticut at Harvest Investments, man, I called them up, and they said, yeah, we'll do a race. So that's really cool of them. You know, they've been family friends for a long time. So, you know, put them on the race car for a race, and it's really cool. We got them a pole already. So hopefully we can get them a win here in a little bit.
Hey, it's good to have friends. Good to know people. Joey Logano, your pole sitter. Dave Burns.
All right, Jamie, and while he won't be going for the Drivers' Championship this year, remember there is a new system to determine that. And I'm not a big points converter guy, but our statisticians ran the numbers, and if you compare apples to apples, this is indeed the closest championship in the Nationwide Series ever through 7 events. For more on that, let's bring in the 3 guys who will be calling the 8th race of the year: Brad Doherty, Ricky Craven, and Marty Reed. Marty?
And what's really interesting, thank you, Dave, is that the top 7 are separated by 12. In fact, coming out of this race, anyone in the top 8 could take the points lead. So obviously the system's doing what they want. Let's put this all in perspective. This has been pretty interesting.
Well, it really has. And for me, you take someone like Brian Scott. Last year at this point in time, he was 13th in points. We look at him right now, he's 8th in points. It's because of consistency. He's done a good job of getting himself top 15 finishes. He's got a couple of top 10s, and today he qualifies in the top 10 spot. Brian told me that he is working hard on staying amongst the guys, being at the end of races, and not taking and making foolish mistakes. And that's very, very smart. Gives himself a great chance.
Sure does. Marty, you talked about the top 7, and they've done their job. They've gotten off to a good start. They've been good on average. But take Jason Leffler, the point leader, as an example. Worst finish, 15th, but he's got 0 top 5s. You're going to need top 5s to win this championship, at least. And Elliott Sadler seems to be the driver that's starting to hit his stride. He's got 4 in a row.
Well, the only downside is that so far no Nationwide regular has won a race. Does that have to happen to win a championship?
I don't think it has to happen. You got to remember, we've got Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards racing in this series every weekend, and it's so hard to beat those guys. But I do think these drivers who are going to compete for this championship, they have to get up in the mix. The young guys, they got to go wheel to wheel, door to door with Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards. Get the experience and be close. You've got to be on that edge of getting wins, but you don't have to win this championship. championship.
I agree. You don't have to win, but you have to contend. Why? Because the championship will be settled in the last month, and if you haven't contended during the summer, you're going to struggle in that final month. We go back to last year. Justin Allgaier won a race. Now, if one of these drivers can win early, they can separate themselves and their team from the rest of the crowd. Look at the 12th car, Justin Allgaier, at a track, Bristol, that was typically, historically dominated by Sprint Cup Series drivers. He drives away from his teammate, Brad Keselowski. He goes on to win at one of the most difficult tracks on the circuit, and he parlays that into a 4th place finish in the standings with 3 Sprint Cup Series drivers ahead of him. My point is, there's an opportunity here. If one of these drivers can win early, it will reward them.
And he is in the 31 of the Brandt to Chevrolet, as carrying the Wolfpack colors this weekend, and of course driving now for Turner Motorsports. How about let's talk to the man who's in control of the points lead. There he is, Jason Leffler. How about it, Shannon?
And of course, while you guys talk about how important a win is in the overall championship scheme, let's ask the guy who's leading the points right now. How complete would a championship be at the end of the year? I know we're far away from that end of the year, but how complete would a championship be without a win?
Well, I think you'd get to the end of the year and you would use the championship as an excuse of, well, it wasn't that good a year, but we won the championship. You got to win a race. I mean, that's why we show up every week and to win. And everybody at Turner Motorsports, everybody on the Grey Cups car is working really hard. So we keep improving week after week. We've had some finishes, which is, that's the reason we're leading the points. The guys have done a great job, great pit stops. But we got to get our pace. If we're going to contend for this thing through the whole year, we got to pick up the pace here. So should have a good day here at Nashville. Enjoy racing here. Great weekend. I want to say happy Easter, everybody. I want to say happy Easter to little Charlie out there in California and my little buddy. And hope everybody has a good weekend.
6 top 10s here at Nashville for Jason Leffler, looking, of course, to get back to victory lane here today. Dave?
Thank you, Shannon. Nice to hear from Jason. Now, the guy who used to have the points lead before Jason took it last week, well, that was Ricky Stenhouse, and now we got him to work for us. Ricky's coming up after the break. A tale of his 2 seasons. It's a mystery turned thriller when we come back. Countdown returns to the Nashville Superspeedway. We hope you're having a great Easter weekend wherever you are. We know the fans that have come here today having a fantastic time. Warm, breezy day here on this 1 1/3 oval. We know everybody is trying to save money these days, and when they talk about taking an axe to the budget, they're talking about taking things away. Here at Nashville, they add an axe. They add the Sam Bass Trophy every single year, and Sam once again has a trophy waiting for the winner of today's event. Thank you, Sam, for being with us once again this year. All right, NASCAR J-Skis news and notes this weekend, folks. A lot of things going on. You remember the NASCAR Hall of Fame has completed its list of nominees for the 2012 class. The 5 new names added are Earls, Isaac, Owens, Richter, and Wood. I'm wondering if your choices have made the list. You can join the discussion on ESPN.com/NASCAR. Bobby Hamilton Jr. and Chad Chapin, local boys, are the new operators of the Fairgrounds Speedway. That's at the Tennessee State Fairgrounds, where a lot of us saw our first racing in the Nashville area. NASCAR has a rich racing history there dating back to 1958, and the new operators say they're going to have 10 races per year for the next 2 years. And there's a new entry in the Nationwide Series this weekend. Go Canada Racing, number 67. J.R. Fitzpatrick, Canadian driver, will be behind the wheel. And businessman Steve Meehan, also a Canadian, is funding the effort. That's a 3-year plan they have. 12 races this year, including 2 Sprint Cup events. And I believe the highlight might be their August 20th trip to Montreal, Canada. That'll be a time for JR really to show his stuff. All right, if he's going to be a first-time winner there, that would be fantastic. But this is the track where it has happened the most. Remember way back in 2001, Greg Biffle won his very first NASCAR Nationwide race? It was right here. Of course, he was a Truck Series champion at that time. And you remember Jack Sprague and Scott Riggs, they both won here in 2002. They had the April and the June race that year. Leffler, our current series championship leader, he won here for the first time in the Nationwide Series in 04. And of course, we had 2 in 2005. Reed Sorensen in the event today. Clinton Boyer, Nationwide Series champion, he won the June race. And then Brad Kay, we already talked to him at the head of the show. He won in June of 2008. The list of winners in this field is very, very long and proud for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. You see the grid right there, and we noted before that the 6th car there of Ricky Stenhouse is in the 4th qualifying spot, but the 16 right there in the foreground, well, that's Trevor Bayne's car, and a little while ago, Jamie caught up with him.
And Trevor Bayne always has a smile on his face, and something else to maybe keep smiling about. Half of the races here were won by first-time winners. Any indication you could add your name to that list?
Hey, that would be pretty cool. I think we've got a really good race car today. Qualified way better than I expected, honestly. So to be starting second, I think we got a good shot at it.
Starting on the front row. Now, you're not always just a funny guy and fun-loving, but you have a great heart. You actually went out and fed some homeless last night. You're doing that again here in downtown Nashville tonight. How did that come about?
Well, we have a really good group of guys. I mean, they're awesome people. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Justin Allgaier, Josh Wise, Blake Cook. Let's see, Michael McDowell's not here this weekend, but he's normally with us during our Bible studies. And, you know, they're just awesome. And they've pushed me to further my walk. And, you know, so we started going out different nights of the week in different towns that we're in and just going out and seeing homeless people and witnessing to them and talking to them. And it's a good weekend to be doing that Easter weekend. And we're definitely thankful for Jesus this weekend.
All right, Trevor Bayne starts on the front row today looking for his first win in Nashville.
And Jamie, there is Trevor's car on the grid. If we look just a little bit beyond that, we already showed you before, his buddy, Ricky Stenhouse, there it is, the white number 6 car. Now, could he be a first-time winner here today? You know what? A year ago, we wouldn't have even considered it.
This is something I wanted to do, is race for a living. And, you know, I got the opportunity to do it. I just wanted it to last a little longer than it looked like it was going to last.
And oh no, we've got a crash. And look how Ricky Stenhouse Jr. bangs the wall.
Tough for Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
2010, we started rough. The first part of the year was embarrassing. Yeah, I didn't want to come to the racetrack. It just wasn't very fun.
Poor Ricky Stenhouse Jr. just absolutely needed some sort of run. It ends badly again.
This is the one thing this young man did not need.
I didn't know if I was really supposed to be doing this or not. Yeah, I felt like I could, but then again, you look at the numbers and the finishes and things like that, it didn't seem too promising.
I just keep wondering how many more chances you get to go out here and get some part of the brass ring.
You have about a half a season to prove yourself, and if you don't start to show some finishes, there's a lot of other resumes that cross these car owners' desk, and they start looking at them.
It wasn't comfortable. It wasn't fun. The team, they were still behind me, but then again, it's tough for them to be behind me when we're crashing every week and they're having to rebuild the cars.
Oh no, trouble.
Well, and he needs to get in on time, and
that won't do it.
It's not going to happen.
Jack Roush cannot be happy about that.
He does not make the field at Nashville.
Having to sit there and load the car up with the guys and put everything back in the trailer and sit there and watch the race, and all of our team had to sit there and watch the race, that was pretty tough.
Originally, Ricky Stenhouse was on the entry list, and then the change was made to Brian Eichler.
Jack said that he was going to pull me out for a race. He said, I think you have what it takes. You just got to get focused and do it.
We're going to see a totally different result in the second half of the year for both those guys than we've seen in the first year, I guarantee you. Stay tuned. It's going to get better.
Stenhouse in the mix in the 6 car. He's had a great run all night.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Nice job, baby. Nice job.
All of a sudden, it started to turn around about halfway through, and I really started clicking. I started to focus more. I started having more patience.
New leader on the board. Give it to Ricky Stenhouse.
You need to drive to impress if you're racing for Jack Roush. Right now, he is impressive.
Tale of 2 seasons with this young man.
As a person, I don't feel like it's changed me, but I do have more fun now.
Stenhouse has really done a nice job as he's gotten more used to driving these cars and racing these type of racetrack.
You having fun, bud? We're back. Yes, we are.
I feel like I can appreciate things more now than what I did in 2010. I've been disappointed this year because I felt like we've had Mustangs that could have finished in the top 5 every race. But then again, you know, I look back to 2010 and I got to be thankful for where we are right now.
Don't you love it? That is quite a comeback for Stenhouse in 2011. So the field number's 43. There are 25 drivers actually in the field today who could win for the first time, Ricky among them. Let's look at the numbers in that changeover for him. If you look over on the right, 1 DNF. That is huge. And, of course, that was just last week at Talladega where he dropped from first in the championship run down to the 4th position. Now, we mentioned the 25 possible first-time winners here today. Jamie Little, any idea who one of them could be?
Well, I don't know. Maybe the 11, Joe Gibbs racing car. Brian Scott, it is a big weekend for you. 50th start. You actually made your debut here in Nashville 2 years ago. So how do you think you are maybe different than you were as a driver 2 years ago?
Well, it's kind of neat that a first start and a 50th start can come at the same place. I love Nashville Super Speedway. I got a second place finish here in a truck 2 years ago. It's a great place, and to know that so many first-time winners have won here, it gives me hope that I can be a first-time winner. Hopefully be the next. It looks like Brad was the last one in 2008, so maybe it'll be Brian Scott 2011. I feel good. It's Easter weekend. You know, happy Easter to all the families out there and everybody watching. I'm lucky enough my dad came into town to spend a little time with me, and his birthday's coming up, so try to win one for the Easter Bunny and for my dad. Hopefully give him a good birthday present, get me my first time win and my 50th start. That'd be really neat, and celebrate pretty wildly with the guitar.
Well, so far it's been good. Will start 10th, his best effort here at Nashville. Dave?
It's a good look at Brian Scott's car. There it is on the grid. And coming up, this guy, Eric Almirola. You've known him as a NASCAR competitor for 6 years. You may not have heard the truly inspiring side of his story. Next on Countdown. Well, the fans at Nashville know a little bit about the trophy that awaits the winner of this weekend's event. They've had a great time meeting the drivers yesterday during a big autograph session. Justin Allgaier getting things started up there. The Joe Gibbs teammates, all three of them, right there, making some fans very, very happy. Roush Fenway represented as well. Carl Edwards, three-time winner here at the Nashville Superspeedway, and Trevor Bayne, who we talked to just a few moments ago. All these guys helping out the fans. Easter Bunny was there, too, laying eggs all over the place. And these kids, well, it was their job to clean it up. Good thing Ricky versus Trevor was nowhere nearby. If I had to pick a winner, I'd say this sweetie right here. Good job. Good job. What a weekend so far here at Nashville. You know, we talked about Eric Almirola and his story. He's the grandson of a Cuban immigrant, and he has a very, very American story.
Racing is my whole life. Racing means everything to me. I grew up in Tampa, Florida. My father and his family, they actually came from Cuba. When my dad was 4, they flew from Cuba to Miami and landed in the United States. Basically walked up to a table where the U.S. consulate was, got $100 cash, and got told good luck. When my dad met my mother and they started dating and hanging out, my dad started going with my mom's side of the family racing. They went racing all over the country together. My uncle, my grandfather, my dad. Well, I grew up racing go-karts. I was 8 years old, and we raced for fun and messed around. We started taking it more serious as I did better, and we started getting it more serious, and then started racing super late models.
Eric Almirola takes the lead from the get-go.
At the same time, I had graduated high school and was going to college. I remember my mom had saw a newspaper article that Reggie White was going to start a race team, and he was going to be affiliated with Joe Gibbs Racing, and he was going to start a diversity program. I was like, man, this could be my one opportunity to get my foot in the door. I got a phone call a few months later to go to North Carolina, so I quit school, left everything I knew in Florida, and moved to North Carolina.
I'm pretty impressed with Eric Almirola making only his second Busch Series start in that third Joe Gibbs car. Good run for Eric.
It seemed like everything was falling in the right direction that I needed it to, and then everything came crashing down, and it was back to reality.
Cars banging, corner panels, mid-packed, 2 wide, 3 wide, now trouble. Here comes Eric Almirola. He gets turned out to the inside of the racetrack.
Earnhardt Ganassi Racing has indefinitely suspended the 8 cars from Sprint Cup Series competition pending sponsorship.
Trouble off turn 2. Eric Almirola has hit the outside wall.
He did not have a good start to the season. He had, finished, he's outside the top 35 in points.
There was definitely a point in my career where I was like, what's next? I spoke with Dale Jr. in July at Daytona, and he said, hey, what do you think about running my Nationwide car at IRP? And I was like, love to.
Good run for Almirola tonight for Junior Motorsports in his first start of the season, running in the top 5, and he's been consistent.
From that point forward, I knew that I wanted to be a part of Junior Motorsports. I think and look back at what my grandparents went through, knowing that they gave up everything they could to start over to make a better life for their family. And that inspires me every single day. It makes me feel like there's no reason ever to quit or give up on anything. I'm living proof of living the American dream.
Well, it's already been a full life, career-wise, personally, professionally, for Eric Almirola, only 27 years old. How does what has happened to you in the past and your family affect you when you get onto that racetrack every Saturday?
Just like I said in the piece, it just inspires me. It inspires me to be better. It inspires me to be a better person, a better race car driver, just better. So I'm really appreciative of where I come from, all of my family, and all the support I get from them.
I know you guys have been working on this car. How is it right now?
Our GT Vodka Chevrolet is okay. It's not great, but we've worked really hard on it. The guys have worked their tails off, and I feel like we've made some changes here, and I don't really know. I don't really know what to tell you. We'll find out in 200 laps.
All right, Eric Almirola rolls off 16th. Dave?
Shannon, this is Eric's 7th trip to the Nashville Superspeedway, and he's had some success both in the trucks and the Nationwide Series. This track is 1.33 miles in length. It's paved in concrete, and it's been baking in the sun for about the last 4 or 5 hours after starting out the day cloudy and cool. Let's go back upstairs to Marty Reed. Marty, how do you and the boys think the track's going to race today?
Well, as we've seen in the past, concrete's not as susceptible to the heat, but this is the first time that the new car is on this surface here at Nashville. So what should we expect?
Well, I think you're exactly right. The concrete kind of dissipates the heat, but anytime we have a significant temperature buildup, it's going to get a little bit slick. We need to see the track rubber in a little bit more. It's got good rubber on it from the Truck Series last night, but as I heard Reed Sorensen talking earlier this week, he said it's so difficult to keep the race car on the bottom of the track. He needs his car to be able to corner around the bottom in order to have a chance to win, and we've seen a lot of these guys, Ricky, struggle at keeping that race car down low.
Yes, we have, and we have not had the greatest luck with this car. Some of these drivers, they've struggled to find a handle with a new car. We know this is a track that's very difficult to drive, very easy to overdrive on corner entry. So you add all that together, and I go back to your point, and I think, will we identify a second groove here today? Because if ever we needed one, it might be under these circumstances.
Well, let's take you for a lap around the track because it is very, very high speed down the straights and then all of a sudden the corners.
Yeah, 170 mile an hour into turn 1. You see Carl Edwards here really smooth with the steering wheel, which is critical because it allows you to go back to the accelerator, run off turn 2. He's processing what he had in that first set of corners. He's adjusting to it. You see Carl lead the car down into the apron of 3 and 4, accelerates back. He's wide open at this point, drifts to the wall. You want to use up every inch of racetrack. There's speed there. That's a lap at Nashville Superspeedway.
Let's talk a little bit about driver's tolerance inside these cockpits.
Well, you got to really be smart. You got to be patient because what happens, just like Ricky's talking about, this tri-oval here, it's almost 2,500 feet long. And as you go throughout the day, you continue to build up momentum. The car, as it gets to the corner, is going to push eventually at the end of the day. So you have to really be smart, back up your entry, manage your tires, manage your race car, stay on top of your pit stops. You have to be smart and patient in that car all day.
Well, you're so good. You mentioned tires. That leads us right into the Craftsman Tech Garage because that's the topic that Tim Brewer wants to talk about.
When you come to a concrete racetrack, a crew chief knows the car is going to go through several different transitions as well as a racetrack. When you first get here, that concrete looks like Snow White. But as you run, the track's going to rubber up. Take this file, for example. When you're rubbing this file over that tire, this is a racetrack. You're going to rubber it in. Racetrack's going to get darker. But at the same time, when you're putting that rubber down, it feels good to that driver because he's got a lot of grip. But it's really abrasive. The trick is you have to keep up with the transition of the changing racetrack to make the car better on a long run, and you've got to keep up with the tire wear.
Thank you, Tim. Our transition, of course, is to a commercial break. When we return to Nashville, Justin Allgaier, Little Gator. He'll tell us the story of his week with his own video. That should be fun. Getting closer to the roar of the engines here in Tennessee, 225 laps of racing coming up. Justin Allgaier had about that many items on his to-do list this week. Hey, here's a few of them from his point of view.
Hey guys, it's Monday night. Typical Monday night for us includes going to the go-kart track. So we're here at the pit. A couple of friends and I, we're going to go out and try to have a little bit of fun and maybe try to set a fast lap and just see what happens. So it's Thursday afternoon. We're here at the Dollar General headquarters. We're actually getting ready to do an autograph session. Just having a good time, trying to give back to some of the employees and some of the vendors. After leaving Dollar General, the folks at Gibson were kind enough to let us come to their factory and kind of take a tour of their place. So we're here at the Gibson factory. We all want to win that Gibson guitar at the end of the race, so we'll go see how they're made first, and then hopefully that'll make us really appreciate that one once you win it.
Look at Justin Allgaier working the camera this week. You've been working at the track this weekend. You told me yesterday you really wanted to qualify toward the front. You qualified 14th. What's your strategy to get up front early?
The biggest strategy is just try to be patient. You know, we saw last night our teammate James Busher qualified about the same spot we did and just stayed patient. Was able to get his Wolfpack Reynolds truck up to the front, and so we got Wolfpack Reynolds on the truck this weekend, or on the car this weekend. So hopefully we can get ours back up towards the front. But we want to give a big shout out to all the Florida fishermen and the Florida Gulf Safe. They came on board with us, and so glad to have them on this. And also it's Easter weekend, so we got to say a big happy Easter to everyone out there. Hope you enjoying family time this weekend or around some of and have a good time with.
All right, Justin Allgaier finished 4th in both races here last year. Look for him to get to the front early. Dave?
And Jamie, of course, he's looking for his first win of 2011. He would hate to have that spoiled by a pit road speeding penalty. He got one at Daytona. In fact, NASCAR has handed them out to 23 different drivers so far this season. Now, back at Texas, we spent some time in race control just to make sure we all understood exactly how the system works on pit road.
Too fast entering. There's no way.
Texas Motor Speedway, the pit road is 45 miles an hour. We give them 4.99 miles an hour leeway to make their adjustments.
Well, you got to be tail end along his line case for speeding penalty. Third.
It's automated. We get each trap speed that comes up as every car goes down pit road. And when it exceeds the limit that we have put into the computer, then it pops up red. It's simple. It's red and black. 50.11 after the pit stop.
38, too fast exiting.
The 38 of Casey Kane, too fast exiting. He's at the back of the field.
There's loops embedded in the pit road. And the loops at this particular racetrack are roughly 200 to 220 feet long. And it is time over distance. The transponder that is on the car, the same transponder that counts laps, is what tells you what speed it's traveling down pit road. When a speeding penalty happens, the race director radios down the pit road and says, violation, what car, either exit or entering into the pits. The series director will radio down to the official that is in the pits, and at that time the race director will tell the inspector all the pit road speeds that that particular car ran, and that way the crew chief can tell the driver which segment that he was speeding in.
Okay, I'm going to tell you your timing segments. Segment number 1, 5209, speeding.
The loops that are here at Texas Motor Speedway are in the original position that they were installed at when the racetrack was new. If we see a need to move different loops, then a new map will be created and a new map will be handed out to the teams before the race starts.
And here is this week's map that was handed out to all the teams by NASCAR, showing where all the loops are. The drivers know where they are. They know what the speed limit is, 45 miles per hour. Let the driver beware. Hey, here at Nashville, we're going to take another break, but coming back, we'll find out, hear from a couple more drivers, and find out who is going to win today, and possibly who picks up the championship lead. ESPN's coverage of Major League Baseball continues tomorrow and Monday night. First two of the game's greatest sluggers step up to the plate on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball at 8 Eastern as Joey Votto and the Reds take on division rival St. Louis Cardinals led by Albert Pujols, who looks to put his rocky start at the plate back behind him. Then on ESPN's Monday Night Baseball at 7 Eastern, Paul Konerko and the Chicago White Sox take on A-Rod and the New York Yankees. And if you're in the Chicago or New York markets, you will be able to see the game on ESPN. Major League Baseball on ESPN Sunday and Monday night. Hey, we've still got a couple minutes to hear from two more of our drivers. Let's go to Jamie Little.
Well, when it comes to Nashville, Reed Sorensen is always a threat to win here. Of course, he does have one win under his belt, but there are so many different variables. New car, different tire, different line. What will be the key to a win today?
Well, this new car is probably the biggest obstacle. I think today you're going to have to be good on long runs. It seems like we always have long runs here, so a good race car deep into a run is going to be what you want. And we thought we had a good car in practice, but it wasn't quite good enough to win, so we made some changes, and I'm sure we'll be working on it all day today to try to get it better. So just happy to be here. This is hometown for Dollar General. Rick Drawling and his family are here, so want to run good in front of him. And I think we got about 1,000 DG employees in the grandstand, so we're going to work hard, that's for sure, and Trent will be making adjustments all day, so we'll be fine.
All right, Reed Sorensen starts lucky number 13. Shannon?
Well, Jamie, I was completely shocked to find out that Elliott Sadler has never raced here at Nashville. So, how's the weekend been, rookie?
Before I answer that question, I want to send my thoughts and prayers out to the Wright family and the Bryant family back at home. We lost a really close friend of the family this past Thursday, so our thoughts and prayers are with those guys. But as far as here in Nashville, I've had fun so far. We got a lot of people here from Hunt Brothers Pizza, their first time on the car with us this weekend. Track's a lot different than anything I've been to with the concrete mile-and-a-half style, but so far so good. We feel like our car's going to be good on long runs, and we feel like we got a lot of adjustability built in it. Just stay out of trouble and be there at the end and see if we can't get ourselves in position to make a run at it.
And Elliott Sadler will be joining us during the race. He is our in-race reporter, so if you want to ask a question of any of our in-race reporters, you go to ESPN.com, keyword in-race reporter. Dave?
Shannon, something tells me under caution the booth is going to be talking to Elliott loud and proud as many times as they can today. There's a grid for today's race. Got some great other starters in the race today we didn't get a chance to talk to. Ryan Truex making his return to the sport after a couple weeks off for wrist surgery. And David Rudiman trying to get the Rusty Wallace Racing crew back under fire, adding a spark to him this weekend with a third entry in the RWR camps. Well, that's the Countdown Show, folks. I hope we've given you something to smile about, someone to root for today. The opening ceremonies from the Nashville Super Speedway are next. Nashville Super Speedway is known for a close competition and emotional first-time wins. First race here at the Nashville Super Speedway, Greg Biffle won in 2001, Truck Series champion, first nationwide win. Scott Riggs and Jack Sprague won here in 2002. Jason Leffler, the 2004 winner, his first in the Nationwide Series. In 2005, Clint Boyer picked up the early flag. Reed Sorensen picked up the June race in Nashville. And Brad Keselowski in 2008, a first-time winner here at the Nashville Super Speedway. You know, folks, I'm wondering if a first-time winner is going to emerge here today. We have 25 chances, 25 drivers in the field who have never won at this track before. We'll see if they can do that. They've never won a Nationwide Series race before, and we'll just see if they're able to do that. We mentioned the temperature earlier. It's in the mid-80s now. The breeze has subsided somewhat, and the rain has stayed to the north of us all season long. So as we go to the opening ceremonies, we head down the grid, we say goodbye, and we take you to today's invocation.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we would ask that you please stand as the colors of our country are presented by the United States Army Nashville Recruiting Battalion. We ask that you would please remain standing for invocation delivered today by Joe Nelms, pastor of Family Baptist Church in Lebanon, Tennessee.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all your blessings today. Thank you for everything that you've given us, Lord. Thank you for those that have gone on before us, already raced their way into glory. We pray they'd be smiling down upon this track today. I pray Dale and the boys would wave the checkered flag in glory for us. I pray we'd get fired up, go 3 wide into the turns for your honor and your glory. God, may we bring the praise of God into this place today. We'll thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you would join us in our national anthem, presented today by Nashville Review recording artist, The Line.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, sailors, that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Love it every time I hear it. That's the way you get a NASCAR race started. Logano on the pole, Edwards and Busch in the mix. Can Austin Dillon show up big time in the Kevin Harvick car today? You'll know next when Marty Reed, Brad Daugherty, and Ricky Craven take you to the green flag.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at Nashville is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Enter this code at codespotter.com for a chance to win one-of-a-kind NASCAR VIP experiences. And Gillette Fusion Pro Glide. Turn shaving into gliding and skeptics into believers.
And we welcome you back to the Nashville Superspeedway as we are just under 10 minutes to the green flag here in race number 8 of the 2011 NASCAR Nationwide Series. And we're glad that you're with us as Dave Burns and the gang gets ready down on pit road. Great job, Dave, on countdown. And as we come on camera, Marty Reed alongside with Brad Daugherty and Ricky Craven. And from time to time, people have asked, why doesn't Brad get to come to the booth more often? Here's the reason why, folks, because we haven't found booths big enough, except maybe like Nashville. Ricky and I are about 5'11" each. And this would be a bit difficult if we did this everywhere.
Boy, it's awful cloudy up here.
What is it like up there, Brad? Okay, so enough of that. That's why we sit. And anyway, let's talk about the fact that last night, the truck race, Kyle Busch did it again. Led all but 10 laps. Let's show you some of the highlights before we talk about this guy, because, again, he is dominating. I mean, this is like his 7th win this year in the 3 NASCAR Touring Series. And for the 8th time, he's going to go for the Camping World Truck Series Nationwide Series sweep. And I guess my question to both of you is, can he do it today?
He absolutely can do it. I mean, we've used every verb, every superlative that we can in the vocabulary to talk about and describe Kyle Busch. He absolutely, though, can win this race, hands down, no question.
An obvious and logical pick, but I think there are 2 more that are going to give him a run, at least 2 more that'll give him a run for his money. Brad Keselowski and Carl Edwards. Between them, they have more wins than Kyle Busch. And specifically, Carl Edwards was very good on the long run. I think he stands out among the crowd.
All right, well, let's talk about the fact that 11 races have been held on the concrete. Here's what's in the field as far as past winners and what you were talking about on the concrete here at Nashville. Carl and Brad with 5 wins, Kyle with the 1 win, and then also Joey Logano, Jason Leffler, and on and on and on. But let's talk about also the fact that this is the 11th race for this new car now. And here we are on concrete again. What can we expect today?
Well, I think they've learned a lot about this new car. And as the guys get more comfortable well. You know, the downforce numbers are a little bit different on this car. The aero package is a little bit different on this car. So they're getting used to it. But what I like about the new car is it brings everyone else into play. The old car, when you look at the numbers, you have guys like Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch, Keselowski. They're killing these guys. The new car, it gives everyone an opportunity.
Obviously, Justin Allgaier and Ricky Stenhouse have joined the crowd. That's impressive for them. They're young drivers. They like the feel of this new car. Let's see if they like it on concrete at 170 miles an hour.
The average finishes are there. They just haven't broken through to get the win yet because Kyle's been ganging up and taking 4 of them so far. Maybe that changes today. We'll find out as the race progresses, but right now it's time for us to go trackside. Get the engines fired.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the words you've been waiting for. From Nashville to you, recording artist Chuck Wicks.
Nashville, Tennessee, are you ready? Let's give it to the gentlemen. Start your engines. Here we go.
All right, fire it up.
Got me. Thank you. The boys want to meet you, so we'll figure it out sometime soon.
So the engines are fired on the 43 cars, and we are getting ready to go racing under a beautiful sunny sky here in Nashville. When we come back, we'll talk to our in-race reporter. It's Elliott Sadler. He is coming off his 4th straight top 5 finish, and we'll talk to him when we come back. Back here at Nashville Superspeedway, where we're getting ready to go green flag racing, and we'll bring the starting field across the top of your screen. No DNQs. We only had 43 cars on the grounds. All made it to the show, and no one will be going to the rear. And that brings us to this week's version of Gillette's Skeptic or Believer. And let's take a look at Elliott Sadler. Now, Elliott has been strong the last 4 races. The first 3, not so good. He's moved up 9 positions, though, in the last 4 races. My question to each of you is, are you a believer or are you a skeptic?
Oh, I'm a believer. I think Elliott Sadler's the guy to watch to win this championship. He's actually moved up 24 spots in the last 6 races. He can win it all.
Elliott Sadler has adapted to the car. He's got 4 consecutive top 5s. I believe he's hit his stride. I'm a believer.
And he is our in-race reporter. He's just pulling out on the track. So, Ricky, let's talk to him.
That sounds great. Elliott, Ricky Craven in the ESPN booth. Do you have me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear. How you doing?
Great, Elliott. I got a question coming from you from Raylan in Hallandale Beach, Florida. With 4 top 5 finishes in a row, do you feel like your team can carry the momentum in today's race? And is this especially challenging given that you haven't raced at Nashville before?
Well, we hope so. I have definitely leaned a lot on my team this week coming to Nashville for the first time to go off their past experience on like what the track is going to do once the tires get older and things like that. But we got a strong race team. We're learning a lot as a race team. We seem like we're getting better each and every week. Nashville is the headquarters for Hunt Brothers Pizza, so we want to do well for them today too. But we feel like we've got a pretty comfortable race car, pretty long race for a nationwide race, so we want to be patient, be around at the end and see what happens.
Elliott, it looks to me like you've hit your stride here. 4 consecutive top 5s. You got a great starting spot today. What's it going to take? What's your approach going to be at the beginning of this race to position yourself to win?
We want to try to keep as much track position as we can, stay up front, make good adjustments on the good pit stops, and just be around, save the car as much as we can for the end, be consistent, and we feel like we're going to have ourselves in a good position. That's what we've done all year long, is be consistent throughout the whole race, make good adjustments, and just keep ourselves in position for the end of the race to have a good shot at a great finish. So we're going to try to keep that same mentality. I do want to say Happy Easter, everybody, especially my wife and son Wyatt at home trying to find Easter eggs right now. So it's a great weekend here to be at Nashville. A lot of fans showed up.
Sounds great. Thank you, Elliott. My partner Brad is going to ask you another question.
All right, Elliott, last night you had a decent run in the Truck Series. Not exactly what you wanted, but what did you learn from that Truck Series that you're going to utilize today?
Well, Brian, I tell you what, we learned what to do and we learned what not to do. So that's the whole reason we brought the truck here, was one, to get me some time on the racetrack, and we ran in the top 5 for a lot of the race. We made a few adjustments, just trying different things, trying to learn to help us for today, and we learned what not to do for the day. So sometimes you do that. Sometimes that's just as important, to make those mistakes as a driver and as a team on one day so you can learn from it to be better the next day. And hopefully we've done that, and we'll make good adjustments today. We'll have a good day.
Okay, buddy, get up on that wheel and go get them.
Appreciate it, sir. You guys have a good day today.
Thank you, Elliott. And let's take a look at the rest of our onboards, because besides Elliott, we also have an onboard camera with Josh Wise, Trevor Bain, Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, Justin Allgaier, Carl Edwards, and Stephen Wallace. Our over-the-wall reporter, well, this is a big moment for Sean Pete, because let's take you back to Las Vegas. Last time he was working the jack for the 32 car. Mark Martin's driving that 32, and when the tire goes down on the 22 of Brad Keselowski, the 32 goes to victory lane, and look at the celebration from the camera that he is wearing. So Sean has got the camera back again, and there he is down pit road. Now, I got to ask you, are you superstitious or what?
I better not be, guys. We're actually in pit stall 13 today, and I've passed under that ladder under the pit box about 20 times. So if I am, I'm in trouble.
All right, well, you be safe down there. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys.
Let's get the latest from pit road. Shannon?
I've walked under the ladder as well, so we're hoping it's a good day. For Jason Leffler as well, it is the second time this season that he has been on top of the points. And while they haven't broken through and gotten a win, the more important stat is the fact that they've finished every single race, no DNFs. I spoke with Leffler in Countdown. He told me they're surviving. They still have a lot of work to do with this team, but certainly being a past Nashville winner gives them a lot of confidence. Jamie Little?
Well, Shannon, for the first time, Rusty Wallace is fielding a third car in the race. The 64 is back, and it's part-time for the rest of the year. But today, it's David Rudiman, and this team is ecstatic to have a Cup driver with his experience to help make them faster, and faster is what he's done. He was fastest in happy hour, and today, he qualified 5th. Let's go over to Dave Burns.
And Jamie, everyone knows that you've got to be Kyle, though, if you're going to do anything today. Remember we talked to him in Countdown. He's sort of claiming Nashville as his own. He starts 6th today. He's already had one victory here this weekend. And Kyle is a guy they'll have to get around to make it a good day, Marty.
All right, Dave, it's time enough for us to check the Goodyear track facts here at Nashville Superspeedway. And the one that jumps out at all of us here is not the 45-mile-an-hour speed. It's the corners, that 14 degrees. It's deceiving, isn't it, Ricky?
It's deceiving from a driver's perspective. It's very uncomfortable because you got 170-mile-an-hour corner entry speed going into turn 1. You don't have enough banking to support that car. You need to brake heavily, maintain the bottom. It's a tricky racetrack.
Absolutely, and you go into that corner from this trioval, especially 2,500 feet down into that corner. You are toting the mail trying to get that race car to change directions.
Pace car is into turn number 4. It's Logano and Bain on the front row, and Logano has selected the inside lane. Then it's Dillon, Stenhouse, row 2, Rudiman, Kyle Busch, Edwards, Sadler, 7th and 8th, Brad Keselowski, and Brian Scott rounding out your top 10. Pace car is off the track. They come down. The green flag is in the air, and this race is green.
Get up on the wheel, boys.
Big start by Joey Logano.
Boy, Joey got a great jump. He's gone. Wow.
See Trevor Bain squeeze down in front of Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon gave him a break there.
I mean, Joey Logano was pulled out by about 6-8 car lengths, and he is pulling that 16 car down the back straightaway.
About 3 wide in the middle of that pack, and that's the 32 of Reed Sorensen in that mix as well. You saw Brad Keselowski streak through.
Reed's been talking about getting to the bottom of the racetrack. He slides up a little bit there, but made a great run down the backstretch.
Coming around to conclude lap number 1, and it's going to be Joey Logano, your race leader, with Bain, Dillon, Rudiman, Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards.
Yeah, so you got one eye on the leader, and then you got one eye on this cluster of cars back here with Kyle Busch, Rudiman, Carl Edwards.
Interesting to watch those cars run down in there after the first lap into turn 1. They did utilize both grooves, so hopefully we'll see that second groove come in as the race goes on.
On board with Carl Edwards, as you see, he's going underneath the 18 of Kyle Busch, and he's looking to try and get underneath the 64 of Rudiman.
Carl gets back in line there. You're most vulnerable and most uncomfortable when you're underneath another car going down into turn 1s and turn 3. You want to get in line as quickly as you can so you can use all the racetrack on the exit of the corner, make the track as wide as possible.
Joey Logano, who leads by 0.8 of a second, has now led in all 4 of his Nashville starts.
That thing is stout, boys. I tell you, Joey Logano is just coming up off that corner and whizzing away from the second place car up.
Guys, we have had a clean 2 days, and we had a very clean start to this race. I'm really impressed with how this thing kicked off.
75 of Johnny Chapman has taken it behind the wall. So has the 4 Jeff Green. Right there you saw Ricky Stenhouse right behind Brad Keselowski. That is 7th and 8th.
At this point, as a driver, you're letting the air pressure build up. Your car is starting to feel better and better, and you're not in a hurry to give your crew chief information because it'll be a little bit slighted because of the low air pressure, because the tires are not up to temperature.
Carl Edwards looking underneath, and looks like he's going to clear the 64 Ruderman. So move Carl up a spot into 4th.
Carl's wasting no time. Open. Whoa! A little contact, maybe.
Whoa! Does he have a tire coming down?
Hey, we saw Kyle Busch get underneath David Ruderman, and then all of a sudden the rear end stepped out on him.
Got into him there a little bit.
Okay, he got into him a little bit, he said. Okay.
Well, it cost him quite a few spots as he'll drop back to the 13th position. But Ruderman does a nice job of holding on to it. Here we go again.
Kyle did not get into David. He may have felt like it, but David got off the corner there a little hot, and rear end stepped out. Kyle was there, but he did not get into it.
Right, Brad. And then when David got high, he got into a dirty part of the racetrack, and it probably felt to him like a tire was going down. So then you go to your next set of corners, and you're very apprehensive. You just coast through those turns until you can kind of identify what happened. Now he's back in a groove.
Looking back from Josh Wise's car. Wise in 12th spot. Here we go with Brad Keselowski and Elliott Sadler side by side. That is the battle for 8th position. Looks like Keselowski's got a nose in front and may clear. Not yet.
Elliott pulls back up hard now. He's got him clear. Brian Scott right there in the mix as well. Here comes Reed Sorensen with a nice run on the inside.
A couple more cars have taken it behind the wall. Matthew Carter, Carl Long. Allen is off. Green, Chapman we've already told you about. That gets you up to date there. Check in on Austin Dillon with the battle for 3rd. That's Trevor Bayne, actually now for 2nd. Because Dillon's going to go around him. Here comes Carl Edwards into this mix. So this is a good 3-car battle for 2nd.
Carl Edwards' strength was on the long run during practice. We're seeing him get better and better already early in the race as we count down the laps. Needs a little bit of room here. I think he'll find his way past both of these drivers. And Carl's smart, experienced. He'll be patient.
Yeah, Austin Dillon's not going to give up that line very easily. As a matter of fact, he's got both of these guys behind him trying to figure out which way to go, and he is just trying to make sure he hits his marks and gets off the corner very well.
And if you heard him in the pre-race interview and countdown, he talked about the fact that he made a mistake. He got too aggressive too soon in the race. He ended up spinning. That's what put him back, and he ended up finishing that race 11th. Started on the outside of the front row.
Yeah, he's a very bright young man. He's ahead of his age as it relates to the way he handles himself inside the race car. And there are worse things you can do than following Carl Edwards.
Well, he's going to find out what he's got because Carl Edwards is to his inside, and if he looks out his mirror, he's going to see Kyle Busch marching him and walking him down.
Kyle Busch just got around for another spot. Moved Busch up to 4th past Trevor Bayne. And what's going on, Dave, with that number 18?
Well, Marty, usually these cars, they kind of start out loose and they come in to the tighter side, but Kyle reported on lap 2 that his car was a 10 tight. And then he had that incident with Ruderman, came over the radio and apologized and said, my car just got loose. Ricky, I think he's trying to pilot a tight race car around this track right now that he's having to drive differently than he wants to.
Yes, Dave, you're right. And that's not going to help Kyle because that's not his strength. Kyle is at his best when he can drive off the right rear tire. He can handle a car loose. Tight to slow. We talked about that earlier in the day.
So as these guys continue, we've completed 10 laps. Logano's lead is up to 2.1 seconds over Edwards, Dillon, Kyle Busch, and Trevor Bayne here at the Nashville Superspeedway. Back here at Nashville, I want to remind you that ESPN is your destination for the NBA playoffs. We've got a pair of Game 3s, 7:30 Eastern. Tim Duncan and the Spurs face Zach Randolph and the Grizzlies. That series is tied at 1 apiece. At 10 Eastern, Kevin Durant and the Thunder take on Danilo Gallinari and the Nuggets. Oklahoma City leads that one 2-0. Playoffs on ESPN, home of the Western Conference Finals. Let's check in on the race for the lead because during the commercial break, Carl Edwards, all of a sudden his car is coming to him, and there as they go around Robert Richardson, putting him a lap down in 36th spot. Carl is right on the back bumper of the 20 of race leader Joey Logano.
Carl is about a 1/10.5 faster, which is pretty significant right now considering the tires haven't worn enough to fall off. So, Shannon, you got anything on these two drivers?
Well, yesterday, Carl Edwards said in order to be successful here at Nashville, you have to run the perfect line and you have to have the perfect car. While it's not a perfect 10 just yet, it's not that far off. It was pretty tight in practice. Now it is a little bit free. Expect them to make some changes to hook that car up on the next pit stop. Jamie?
And Carl Edwards is breathing down the neck of the 20. Joey Logano. Joey saying he's getting a little free off the corners. And the more rubber that gets laid down on the track, the worse it is making it. And there he goes, the 60, making the pass on the 20, and he makes it stick. Marty?
He'll be our second leader today, taking over here on lap number 19. We can also tell you there are now 8 cars behind the wall. Dennis Setzer is the last to pull off.
Yeah, Shannon, just for reference, drivers have never in their life had a perfect 10. Just going forward. Keep that.
Spoken from a guy who knows.
Got a great battle for 6 right here. Justin Allgaier and Ricky Stenhouse and Brad Keselowski. They're all mixing it up pretty good. Looks like Brad's going to get to the bottom there, try to make the pass to see if Justin can hold him off and hold him down.
Allgaier, the biggest mover of the race so far, as he has picked up 8 positions. He's going to lose a spot now, though, and may lose 2. And it's interesting. What we're seeing is certain cars that really were quick the first 15 laps all of a sudden are starting to fall back a little bit.
Yeah, because this is the time of the race or this run where you really know what you have in your car, your balance. Now they're communicating with their crew chief and they're preparing for that first adjustment. The first adjustment is always critical.
One of the things that's really interesting, though, is you see it shows how important qualifying is. When you have a car like Carl Edwards that's set up to be really good on long runs, being able to get out front, stay out of traffic, and run down the car that is in front of you, even though there's a few of them, is a lot easier than having to be back in traffic and work your way up through the field and then eventually get there through pit stops.
It's a tremendous advantage, Brad, because you can give good information, right?
Yeah.
Unobstructed. You've got Kenny Wallace here in the 09 car.
He's having some trouble, Marty.
He had some trouble earlier, didn't he?
Well, Kenny is reporting something. Jamie, what do you have?
Well, he had a little moment there. He radioed to his crew.
God, the ignition's burning up. I'm shutting everything off. I smell a wire. I shut everything off. Switch your box. A different box. Don't panic. Might just be rubber.
And the last word you heard there could just be the rubber. That's exactly what it sounds like it is. Kenny's saying now, I'm just really loose, guys. I need a track bar adjustment.
Well, he's running 16th right now, and he's 14 seconds behind the race leader.
You know, this racetrack has a lot of rubber buildup on it. What happens, that rubber, it bounces up off that racetrack. It gets into the headers of these things. It gets up around the manifold, and it burns, and you don't know what that smell is. And that's probably what Kenny Wallace had a little bit going on.
True, and as a driver, you depend on all your senses, including smell, every now and then.
Absolutely.
And so if it's a foreign smell, an unusual smell, and you've done this a long time, you can typically associate it with something. In this case, the car continues to run, so you got to put that out of your mind, because that type of distraction slows you down 2 or 3 tenths a lap, and you can go down a lap on a day like this with Carl Edwards leading the race as fast as he is.
Keep your foot in it until you see flames.
We have 33 cars on the lead lap. You were talking earlier about now you know what kind of car you've got. First round of pit stops will be coming up, well, still off in the distance between laps 60 and 65 if we stay on schedule. But let's do a little premonition, looking forward as to what might happen there, especially if you want to adjust the track bar. Let's check in with Tim Brewer, Craftsman Tech Garage.
When a crew chief calls for a track bar adjustment, you're going to see a crew member come over, and he's going to put the handle right in this area in the lower portion of the window. But when he's actually turning it, what's going on beneath the car, you can see over there where that bolt head is highlighted with a paint marker. It's actually going down to make the car tighter to get in the corner and have more traction from the center of the corner off. Or if the car's really tight, what he's going to do, he's going to raise that track bar up. And what that's going to do is free the car up, getting into the corner, and from the center of the corner off, make the car turn a lot better.
Okay, Tim, as we finish up there, let's also check back up front, because Carl Edwards now has opened up a 1.5-second lead over Joey Logano. So just after 25 laps, we've gone from a 2-second plus lead for Logano to a 1.5-second lead for Carl Edwards. We're in Music City, USA, Nashville, Tennessee. And I can tell you, any place you go, you can find some great tunes. We were at dinner last night, and this guy, man, he could play. And back here at the track, Carl Edwards playing a tune right now. 2.2-second lead. There he is in the white number 60. As we are here at the Nationwide Series 300 at Nashville, make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. And he's going around the 81 of Blake Cook, putting Cook a lap down in 27th. So 26 cars on the lead lap right now. Behind Edwards, 2.2 seconds back. There you see Kyle Busch towards the top of your screen. And he got around Joey Logano during the commercial break, but it was interesting, to say the least. Let's go back and take a look.
Joey's car was going away from him, we heard that earlier, and Kyle just was walking him down and got to his rear.
3 wide.
Yeah, and it's not like Kyle to lift. So this is sort of a trademark Kyle Busch move.
Clear. Audi 87, slow 80.
So Kyle uses every inch of the racetrack to take over the second spot, and he is cutting into Carl's lead. You can see his cycle there since he started the race back in 6th. We are working lap 33 of 225.
Yeah, with both cars in traffic, it'll be interesting to see as Kyle Busch goes underneath the 30 car. Which of them can maneuver faster, because the cars drive completely different, obviously, with the car in front of them or around them.
That puts Mikey Kyle in that 30, a lap down as well. A little bit further back, looking in for Elliott Sadler, who's running in the 12th position right now. And this was the conversation that we picked up on Elliott's radio.
Yeah, it's just free-rolling way too tight. I feel like I got good side force and I got good down force in the rear of the car. Just free-rolling way too tight.
Ernie, these fast cars are about 2 tire widths lower through the center 1 and 2 than we are. That's the line they're working right there. Everybody but Kyle Busch. He's running that Todd Bodine groove from last night.
And it's strange to hear a driver say he's too tight because everybody else is screaming loose, guys. And just for an update, we're hearing pit stops in about 10 laps. And, of course, lots of changes will take place down here. Marty?
All right, Jamie. So 10 laps. That put us at lap 45.
What's interesting, though, guys, here early in this race, 35 laps in, you look at position 1 through 20. You know, first place Carl Edwards is running 32.12, the 32.45 just then, all the way back to 20th position Ryan Truex. He's running a 33.51. I mean, everyone's running the same speed throughout that group, and it's really, really hard to get to someone's rear bumper and make a pass because it's getting spread out, and there's so much traffic, and it's all the same speed.
Back to the race leader. You got Carl Edwards right there going around the 67 of J.R. Fitzpatrick, that new Go Canada racing team Steve Meehan put together. The significance of the 67, it was 1867 when the Confederation of Canada was formed.
So, you know, your crew chief can only fix so much, a percentage of this car. Some of it comes down to what you do with your foot, with your feet. You search for grip. You can change where you were racing on the track, on your corner entry, corner exit. There are a few cars that have moved up and capitalized on that. Carl Edwards has been on the bottom. That's where the race is typically won. But on a long green flag run, some of these guys are going to go into survival mode. Try not to go down a lap, and they will have to move up the racetrack to get grip.
Well, so far, 20 cars are still left on the lead lap. In fact, Ryan Truex could be the next victim. There's your top 5 after 37 of 225 here at Nashville.
Okay.
Well, we got a moment. Let's talk about what's coming up on ESPN, ESPN2. NASCAR Now, Tuesday, 5 Eastern on ESPN2. And then the next stop for the Nationwide Series is over at Richmond, Friday at 7:30 Eastern. You'll see that one on Speed. And the O'Reilly Auto Parts NHRA Spring Nationals, qualifying next Saturday at 6 Eastern. Finals next Sunday at 7 Eastern. Both of those on ESPN2. And we're on board right there with Josh Wise in the number 7 as he is running right now in 13th position, 19 seconds behind the race leader. We have a total of 18 cars still on the lead lap. Mike Wallace and Ryan Truex have just been put a lap down by our race leader, Carl Edwards. He's led 26 of the laps that we've run so far. The others 18 been led by Joey Logano, and Carl's lead 2.4 seconds over Kyle Busch and another 2.5 seconds back to third place Joey Logano. And what's a little bit surprising, guys, is that how quickly this race seems to have spread out.
And I don't want to add insult to injury, but I think that Carl's got a little reserve. He just ran a 31.63, a 31.70. That's 3 or 4 tenths faster than Kyle Busch running in second. This is a brand new car that Mike Beam brought to the racetrack, and you see Kyle Busch trying to maintain here. He obviously needs an adjustment because Carl's in a class by himself right now.
Well, let's get you caught up to speed with Nationwide Insurance and catch up on all of our front runners. And Shannon, you're up first.
Well, Carl Edwards right now, of course, leading the field, guys, about 10 laps ago. He came on and said that right front circuit breaker has kicked off. We'll definitely see how that may or may not affect this race. As far as the handling, he says he just needs a little bit more grip. They're going to make a small air pressure adjustment and expect them to come down right around lap 56. Dave?
Shannon, Kyle Busch has driven from his 6th place starting spot up to 2nd place now behind Carl Edwards. As Kyle usually would, he's described his car a lot. But the main thing they appear to be working on is that he wants stability off the corner. He has called the drive off the corner weary. I've never heard that before, Jamie.
And his teammate Joey Logano right behind him. He was our pole sitter, but his car has been so extremely loose, he's lost track position. Now, on this next stop, he wants to fix the car, but he's worried if they tighten it up, he's not going to be able to pass to move forward. Perhaps all he needs is 4 new fresh tires. Marty?
All right, Jamie, thank you very much. I also want to update you. 2 more cars are out of this race, Tim Schendel and Tim Andrews. The 52 and the 79.
So I'm gonna get my thesaurus out here, and I'm gonna try to translate. Weary to Kyle Busch is maybe scary to other drivers.
You're probably right. There's Austin Dillon in the 33. He's running a very solid 4th place right now. You see the margin. He's behind just under 8 seconds. Our race leader, Carl Edwards.
Well, this is a really, really long green flag run, Marty. I tell you, these guys have been legging it out here.
Well, the longest,
quite a few laps.
The longest green stretch to start a race at Nashville is 87 laps back in 2007. So
we might get that.
We're just a little over halfway there.
Wow.
Let's listen in on Trevor Bayne's radio.
Looks like it's a little free initial turn into 3, but it's not bad at all. A little tight into the center, a little loose up off. Just overall 9 really is what I need.
So you heard what he was saying. What do you make of it?
Well, he's got a problem on the corner entry and tight in the middle, so a couple of things he's going to have to adjust on.
And the caution is out. We have debris on the racetrack here on lap number 50. So just as we mentioned the longest green flag run to start the race, here we are on lap 50 with our first caution. So everybody's slowing down, and now we'll get our first round of adjustments.
Boy, it looks like there's a lot of people that need adjustments too. The racetrack is really a lot different than it's been the last couple of days, or even yesterday during practice. So I think they've learned a lot in this first long green flag run. Ricky, they'll be able to make some adjustments and hopefully catch the field up.
Brad, all the clouds we had earlier in the day when they were qualifying have disappeared. We've had full sun. That's affecting the balance of the car. They haven't had these circumstances all weekend. So you're going to see some big swings on pit road. Yeah. Other than Carl Edwards, you're going to see some big adjustments.
Well, we'll let you know that Mike Wallace in the 01 will get the free pass. He'll get back on the lead lap. That'll give us 19 cars back on the lead lap. Everybody up on the wall. There's Carl's crew getting ready. Cars are just coming down the backstretch. And it'll be interesting to see what changes will be made. Would you even consider 2 tires at this stretch? I don't think so.
Not on this first stop, but I expect 2 tires later in the race because the truck race last night didn't show wear on the left side tires. This first stop, being 50 laps, they'll take 4 tires.
They'll have to. I mean, those first 2 guys, Edwards and Busch, are just pulling away from everyone. Shannon, what do you got for us down there?
Well, Carl Edwards, a 3-time Nashville winner. They are going to be a little bit conservative. They're going to go with an air pressure adjustment only to try to give them a little bit more grip, and 4 tires and fuel. Dave?
The 18 car of Kyle Busch gives up 2nd place. They're going to replace 4 tires. He said it's a number 6 in the way of turning, a number rear. I can't even get it right. They're talking in code. I can't even understand it. The 4th place car of Austin Dillon is on pit road. He said his car is pretty good. They're going to put on 4 tires, no changes. Jamie.
And Joey Logano, this is just what he needed, some adjustments. Wedge adjustment, 4 tires to help tighten up the car just a bit. You see the wrench in the back window. He's in the last pit box, and it's the race-off. There goes the 60. Joey Logano still working on the left side of his car. They drop the jack. Problems for Joey Logano on pit road, guys.
Boy, he is going to lose a ton of spots in this mix. In fact, he won't even be in the top 10 coming out as the big gainers. Elliott Sadler picks up 4. No, there's Joey. He comes out in 7th, so he dropped a total of 4 spots. So it's going to shake things up here for the restart. All right, let's reset it for you here at Nashville as Carl Edwards has selected the inside for this restart. Alongside is Austin Dillon, then Kyle Busch, Ricky Stenhouse, Brad Keselowski, Trevor Bayne. Joey Logano's dropped back to 7th after a bad pit stop. Sadler, Scott, and Sorensen round out your top 10. The 64 of David Rudiman got to go to the back of the longest line. They had equipment outside the box.
Once again, a big jump by the leader.
Man, Paul Edwards is gone.
And now Kyle Busch has
Kyle's with him, though, yeah.
Yeah, he's had an opportunity to make the adjustments that he needs. Nobody has a feel better for a car than Kyle Busch. He got what he wanted. Let's see what he can do with it.
Watch behind them. There's Brad Keselowski coming into picture as he is underneath the 33 of Austin Dillon.
I'm very impressed that Austin Dillon asked for no changes on that set of that last stop. That was interesting. It told me he had a lot of confidence in his car.
Well, Logano's picked up 2 of those spots that he lost to the slow pit stop. He's back up to 5th. There's the first 2 going through.
And Logano lost those spots because they had a lug nut hang on the left rear tire.
32 of Reed Sorensen looking to get underneath Justin Allgaier, his Turner Motorsports teammate, but Allgaier's going to take the high line, and Reed's going to have to slow down. He's going to run up right behind the 16.
Reed had a really good run coming off the corner there. He is really trying to get himself on up into that top 10 or top 5 so he can be a contender and battle it out with these guys up front. He's just been kind of mired back in traffic all day long. He's got a fast race car.
Reed looking for his second win here at Nashville. Trevor looking for his first in the Nationwide Series. And let's check in on the 32. How about it, Dave?
And Marty, during that first run, his car kind of swung in all directions, but the tightness in the center stayed more stable. It was the loose off of the corner that they really tried to work on, and they tried to affect that with a wedge and an air pressure adjustment for fresh tires.
Hey, Dave, that's interesting information. You know, when a driver's tight in the middle, it'll cause a loose condition on the exit. So sometimes you got to fix the first problem, which is the tight in the middle, because right here, the 32 car driver, he's got so much steering wheel into it that the car breaks loose at the very exit of the corner.
Let's look at the teammates going after each other. Stephen Wallace and Michael Annett. That's a battle for 14th. Mikey Kyle in that mix as well, but remember, Kyle is 1 lap down in 20th.
Both of these drivers need a good run. They need a solid finish. Neither have a top 10 in 2011.
Stephen thus far has put himself in good position, though. Found him a lot of room to race. He and Michael Annett are racing really hard. Good lap times thus far. Just got to keep making those adjustments, getting that track position.
This is a familiar scenario for these two after last week. Remember, they were under orders, hook up, stay together.
All day long.
They did. Or at least as long as they could.
Well, yeah, exactly.
It's really about showing your best in the last 50 laps, not in the first 50 laps. And you see Kenny Wallace battling here with Ryan Truex.
Now, remember earlier, he was reporting a smell of smoke, but obviously that has dissipated. He is still on the lead lap. Kenny running in 16th, and you saw him going around Ryan Truex there in the 99. Truex is 1 lap down in 21st. Ooh, you're right.
Got a little bobble there. Truex got up off the corner and got out from under just a little bit. He got it back in line, and now he's back digging, but got his attention there just for a second.
Let's get an update on that 99, Shannon.
It has been all about learning for Ryan Truex. I spoke with him yesterday. He says there's so much information coming in as a young rookie driver. He's got to learn to dissect it in order to figure out exactly what he wants out of this race car. Also, guys, he is racing right now with an injured hand. He had surgery on his hand after a dirt bike accident. He's got a cast on it, a glove over the cast, so he's certainly working out there right now. He's also been talking to his brother, Martin Truex Jr., all weekend long via text about what to get out of the car and what changes. So certainly a lot of information from a lot of people for young Ryan Truex.
And coming up behind him on the right side of your screen is an old familiar face, David Rudiman. As Rudiman trying to fight his way back after that penalty on the first round of pit stops. Rudiman right now shown in 18th position.
On the left side of the screen, you got Justin Allgaier and Trevor Bayne, and I think Justin is actually faster, and both are running 2 different grooves. Justin's running a lower groove, and I think it's a little faster, but you know, when you're behind somebody on a track this fast, you lose the air off the front of the car and creates a tight condition. Can exaggerate a tight condition, and that's what I believe Justin started with today.
Side-by-side action there. Our points leader, Jason Leffler, as Stephen Wallace goes around him to pick up the 13th position.
Steve's got a good run going. We talked earlier. Just pick up that track position. Pick up that track position. Now he's got a hard battle with the points leader, Jason Leffler. You've got to be really smart here, not put yourself in a bad position early.
Leffler comes right back on him and retakes the position. Whoa, and now he gets loose, and it's opening the door.
And that's what you were referring to, Brad. Yeah. Just use good judgment here. Don't get yourself in trouble. You can get into trouble being too careful, and you can also get yourself in trouble being careless.
Steven has had top 10 finishes in 3 of the last 4 Nashville races. His best finish this year, however, has been 11th. That was back at Bristol. It happens to be a concrete track as well.
He handled that perfectly. He did not try to take more than what the car would give him.
So right now, Leffler's the meat in the RWI sandwich.
And little brother Wallace is also toting along right behind him there. Kenny's catching up to this group.
So you got Michael kind of, he watched, learned.
And this
exercised the same thing on Jason Leffler.
This is the best battle we have going on the racetrack, as these guys keep trying to swap the position on each other, and it's allowing Kenny Wallace to sneak up on both of them.
He's rolled right into the picture, and he's got a pretty fast race car right now. He may be the next guy to get by Leffler. See what happens with the net and Leffler. Looks like Jason cannot get that car. You see it push up. Look at it push up. Cannot keep that thing on the bottom. Really tight off the corner.
Shannon, what are you hearing on Jason Leffler's car?
Well, they did make a significant adjustment on that last pit stop, track bar and air pressure. He was really loose off center and said he needed to roll the center better. But guys, Jason Leffler says it's all about survival. He's leading the points, or was coming into this race. And right now it's about surviving the race. DNFs are killers, according to Jason. Jamie?
And right behind him in the 09, Wallace, we talked about him early on. His car was so loose, he thought something was wrong with it. But Kenny Wallace came in and made some adjustments, track bar and air pressure on the last stop. He says the car is getting better and they're going to be okay. Marty?
All right, Jamie, thank you. You were mentioning the points. We told you that anybody in the top 8 could come out of this race with the points lead. Well, it's shifting so fast. I mean, right now, the way it's looking, there is Allgaier. He would move up. So would Stenhouse. Leffler would drop. But this race far from over. But that's what's fun about this new point system. You can base it on the number of positions. That's all you need to keep tabs on through these early stages of these races to know exactly where your favorite driver is in the championship hunt. Carl Edwards still leading, and he has led a total now of 48 laps here. Kyle Busch is in second, just 0.3 of a second behind. Yeah, Carl's smiling. He's won here 3 times. Well, we've got 72 laps complete here at the Nashville Superspeedway. We've only had 1 caution. It's been one of those races where all of a sudden what we thought was going to happen really didn't. There was David Rudeman getting a little loose. He was able to save it and continue on. He did get a penalty a little bit later, but the race sort of spread out before that caution. And right now, these 2 guys, our first and second, are running out in front of the field by about 4 seconds over third place. That's Carl Edwards, the current leader, and he's led the most laps at 54, and the current points leader is now Justin Allgaier, who is running in the 10th position. Jason Leffler was the points leader coming in. He is now third, just 4 points behind, which means 4 positions on the racetrack. So let's get back to these guys up front. They're trying to make this their own game. You know, everybody was saying, and Carl was sort of poo-pooing it, to put it politely, that they all said Carl really had the car to beat, and Carl kept saying Kyle has the car to beat. So what we're finding out is they're both right.
Yeah, I think it was a decoy for both of them, but Kyle had the car to beat in the early run, and we knew that Carl would be hard to beat on the long run. Kyle's gotten his car better, and that's important because we still got a long way to go.
Well, they're both running the exact same speeds, guys, around this racetrack. So these are the 2 best cars right now. I'm looking back through the field, though. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is another car that pops up speed-wise if he can just get himself over. Dave, can you give me a little bit of information on that 18?
Yeah, they did improve that 18 race car. I know because Kyle just radioed about 10 laps ago. It will cut to the bottom. It has grip. Those are things they were working on. But I don't know how they got there. Here's the code Kyle was using to Jason Ratcliffe, his crew chief.
I need about 6 numbers of turn with 8 numbers of rear grip.
10-4. I understand.
Yeah, 10-4. Jason understands. Ricky, I don't have an app for that. Can you translate?
Yeah, Dave, I can translate that. What that is that's the driver saying, I want an adjustment, but I don't want any of you guys listening to know what it is. And that's what makes Kyle Busch special. His relationship with Jason Ratcliffe, their dialogue is obviously different than anything we've heard from anyone else. But believe me, they're splitting hairs. You know, the fact that Kyle Busch can be catching the leader and still asking for an adjustment tells you a lot about his racing personality.
It's never up, too, on the bumper of Carl Edwards. He's coming.
It's never enough for Kyle. He always wants a little more.
Well, we ought to tell about everybody that Carl Edwards just passed 400 laps led here at Nashville, joining the guy who's in second place, Kyle Busch, and Clint Boyer. He's only the third driver to do so, and I'm doing it kind of quickly because I have this feeling that maybe that 18 is about to go around.
Seems to me as though the cars are equal, like you said, Brad, but Kyle is working harder than Brad. I'm sorry, Kyle's working harder than Carl, and we have the luxury of watching the back of Carl's car off of Kyle Busch. And Carl hasn't been moving around a lot.
They go around Timmy Hill. He is now 2 laps down in 30th position.
Well, Carl's just driving and defending the bottom of the racetrack when he gets to the corner. Kyle is actually starting to take that second groove through the corner, and he's actually picking up a little bit of space on Carl as they come off. Not much.
Well, what I would find interesting is if you're dealing with code, why would that be significant? Because what works on one car would not necessarily work on somebody else's.
Well, it's a good point, but you know, there may be something else in there as far as the adjustment, air pressure. You know, tires is such a big part of the equation. So we see the 32 going underneath the 11 car here. If he's asking for a specific adjustment, maybe in the air pressure, you don't want to give that away. You see the 11 get a little bit loose.
Yeah, he did.
Yep. And Sorensen takes the opportunity to move around and pick up the 7th position. So it is Sorensen, Scott, and that's Trevor Bayne, the third car, that white Ford, off into the distance. Want to find out how far they are back from the group in front of them. Here's another battle going on with Joey Logano and Austin Dillon. That is for 4th.
Austin Dillon has run a really good race so far. Kept himself up front, kept himself out of trouble, taking advantage of opportunities when they presented themselves. Got off pit road very cleanly. Super job so far for this young man, his debut at Nashville here.
Well, Austin's best finish was 4th at Memphis back in October of 08. He's had a total of 7 Nationwide Series starts. And as you said, only 20 years old and showing a lot of promise.
Fascinating, because I understand the difference between the truck and the Nationwide vehicles. They drive different, they feel different, and the information you need to give your crew has to be different. So for this young man to be able to do this and run among Sprint Cup drivers like Joey Logano in the top 5 is very impressive.
That's Brad Keselowski in the 22 on the left side of the screen. He is in 3rd position. Let's check in with Jamie Little.
He just hasn't gotten his car quite right today. This was him moments ago telling his crew exactly what's happening.
Well, pretty much the same as we were in Texas. Getting beat, coming to the throttle. Lacking overall grip, side bite. Initial throttle. Falls off, kind of like it did in Texas on that last run.
And he's talking to crew chief Todd Gordon. I don't know how these guys keep it straight. He's talking about things that happened at Texas, but he did tell me this morning in the last couple of weeks they've learned a lot about this race car and how to make it better. So on the next stop, after all that, they said they want a track bar adjustment.
Well, and it's only a matter of time. You know this team's going to come back and win a race. I mean, the first 2 races were an aberration, and once they figured out what the issues were, they've started to come on.
I'm with you, Marty. We see a battle for the lead. I'm sorry, we see a battle between the 16 of Trevor Bayne and Brian Scott in the 11.
And that is for 8th position, so move Bayne into the 8th spot.
Trevor is moving forward, but once again, we still have to give a good pat on the back to Brian Scott, who's taken advantage of this opportunity and has run really well, run very smart this season. Doesn't have an overwhelming number of top 10s, only has 2 as a matter of fact, but has finished inside that top 15 in each race and has given himself an opportunity to get those good foundation building finishes.
When you mentioned Brian Scott, he made his nationwide debut here in April 2009 at Nashville and finished 25th in that race. He's one of those guys, 25 of them in all, that have never won a nationwide race. Maybe today one of them can get up there and challenge Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch. Take it away. ESPN's your destination for the NBA playoffs. And tonight, a pair of Game 3s, 7:30 Eastern. It's the Spurs against the Grizzlies. The series is tied at 1 apiece. Then at 10 Eastern, we've got the Thunder and the Nuggets. Oklahoma City leads that one 2-zip. The NBA playoffs on ESPN. It's home of the Western Conference Finals. That's Saturday. Back here at Nashville Superspeedway. Let's talk about the first 4 guys. Right now, those 4, Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, have won 13 of the last 15 races in the Nationwide Series. and 7 of the last 9 here at this track.
Wow, Carl Edwards' car right now, guys, is perfect. He's able to put it wherever he needs to go. He's driving at a very comfortable pace, not oversteering, overdriving, doing anything. Look at his hands. They're not moving at all. His car is perfect.
Just put Mike Wallace a lap down. Remember, Wallace got the lucky dog on our one and only caution. He is in 19th position. Let's drop back to second place because Kyle Busch looked like he was going to take the lead from Carl, and now he's fallen back by almost a second.
I mentioned at that time that it looked like Kyle Busch was working a little bit harder. What indicated that was that he used a higher line, which is always a compromise. Kyle is typically at his best on the yellow line, but that was occupied by Carl Edwards. They looked to me as though Carl wasn't working that hard, and you're seeing the results of it, and Kyle was. I think he might have heated up the right front tire.
Well, and as we drop back a little bit further, the battle for third is heating up because Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski are going to be coming into view here. They are 8 seconds behind the race lead.
Got a good race going with those guys. Both of them running about the same speed. A little bit off from the leaders speed-wise, but really maintaining good track position. Did a good pit stop.
So that brings us to 5th spot, and why don't we go up to speed? And since Dave Burns did not do enough work on the countdown show, I'm looking at the next. You've got the next 4 reports. So start it off.
I'll be brief, Marty. How's that? Hey, Austin Dillon in that 33 car. The reason this is such a big deal for him this time is because he's working with the Kevin Harvick Incorporated equipment. That is good stuff. Austin's going to be in this car 4 times this year. And remember, he didn't make any changes on that first pit stop. It may have bit him just a little bit. He didn't make changes. His team didn't. He's really loose right now. They'd like to adjust that on the next pit stop. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. loose has been his problem most of the season. They seem to have it a little bit under control. They made a slight adjustment that first pit stop. Right now he calls his car just a little loose, and that's good in his world. As Reed Sorensen hasn't said a darn thing since the last pit stop. That's good because they wanted to fix the situation in Reed's car where he was very much working on, I believe, the exit of the corner. They made a wedge and an air pressure adjustment to help him, and right now the word is mum. And as for the 16 of Trevor Bayne, well, why don't we just hear what he has to say?
I'm just mad tight in the center. Full free in, bad tight center, free off.
He also added that the rear seems really loose. And I know these cars do have 2 ends and the whole car gets loose, but Trevor right now is focused on the rear of that car. Shannon?
Well, 23-year-old Brian Scott driving the 11 cars, currently 9th and been running in the top 10 all race. I spoke to him before he climbed in the car. I asked him how the season's been going so far. First year with Joe Gibbs Racing. He said pretty good. It's all about building consistency and a relationship with his team. Something else they need to work on, at least today, is more rear grip. Now behind him on the track, Justin Allgaier in the 31 car. The keys for Allgaier at Nashville, according to him, are a loose car and patience. Well, he started back in 16th and he's currently worked his way up into the top 10, so he is definitely working that patience right now. But right now he needs a little bit more sidebar fight for that number 31 car. Jamie?
And behind him is Elliott Sadler. His first race in the Nationwide Series here at Nashville, hard to believe, but he did race in his first truck race last night, and he said he learned what to do to make the truck better, but he learned what not to do on this car today. Hasn't had the car to his liking yet. He's still moving around the track to find the best line. We'll go back to Dave.
And Jamie, Stephen Wallace, a good lead lap run right now. Just got handed a note from team manager Greg Wallace, and you know what he said? He said our whole team is loose. Stephen's leading the charge, but he's loose, Rudiman's loose, and Annette's loose. I guess they might have set him up all the same way, Marty.
All right, thank you, Dave. And we should point out we have a total of 18 cars on the lead lap. And then we also have, looks like now 10 cars we mentioned before, the same group that we reported earlier out of this race.
It ran 51 laps on the first set of tires. We're at 48 laps on this set of tires. So the drivers behind Carl Edwards who made big adjustments know whether or not they've worked.
Well, we're coming up on 100 of 225 laps here at Nashville, and Carl Edwards has led 80 of them so far. Nashville, Music City, USA, and of course the Nashville Super Speedway, and it's Easter weekend. The kids were out at the track, had an Easter egg hunt for all the kids, and they didn't make it too hard for them to find. There were eggs everywhere, and look at that sweet little thing, and she had a full basket full. Which one of you two was the Easter bunny?
I don't know, Brad, how did we miss that?
Oh, I didn't miss it. I met all the kids. They had all them Easter eggs. They all had candy in them. I bribed them all, got all kinds of chocolate.
You didn't take the kids' candy, did you?
You got to do what you got to do, man.
Well, a happy Easter to everybody out there for tomorrow as we look at Eric Almirola as one of our features in the pre-race. Talked about his family heritage, how his family came over from Cuba. And Almirola running in 9th position right now, leading Brian Scott. Let's get an update on Eric.
Guys, when I spoke to Eric yesterday after practice, he was just completely confused. He did not know how to explain what was going on with his car. He said it was so loose. He likes a loose race car here, but not that loose. He said it just wouldn't stick to the racetrack. And that's pretty much what he's been dealing with this entire race. They made a significant adjustment on the first pit stop. They went 2 rounds down on the track bar, but the car continues to get loose under that 88.
Yeah, we sure saw that, didn't we, guys? Yesterday in practice, he was struggling with both ends of the car. And you just got to, when you have a car that bad, you got to start with the first thing that's happening leading into the corner.
Eric's best finish this season, 9th back at Auto Club Speedway. How about we check in on Jason Leffler, our points leader coming into today's race, because the 38, that's not a good sign if you're a fan of 38. He is behind race leader Carl Edwards, putting him a lap down now.
That's incredible.
In 18th spot.
Just shows the pace that Carl Edwards has set, running down Jason Leffler, who's a very good race car. He has really got a lot of work to do to get himself back on that lead lap. Got to get a good pit stop here for Jason Leffler.
And remember, we talked about this earlier today. Jason has completed every lap but one so far this year in 2011. That's one of the reasons he's in the points.
Look at that swing right there. My goodness. Wow.
Well, that's what we talked about also. Man. I mean, there was 12 points separating the top 7 coming into this race. Look at it, what it is right now.
Wow.
You got to give him credit for managing a tough race. You see a great battle here for 5th with Austin Dillon and Reed Sorensen. Listen, Reed Sorensen, as Dave said, had no comment on the radio. He was not talking after the adjustments.
That's good.
A quiet driver is a happy driver, and it's really showing up here. The longer this race goes, the better this car will get.
Well, and 7 past Nashville winners are in the field. 5 of them are right now currently in the top 6, and Reed Sorensen is one of them.
We've got to start paying attention for green flag stops here. We're stretching it out a little bit.
Yep.
We're closing in on that window, and green flag stops are not easy here because of the speed that you carry into the corners. So
everybody pitted back on lap 51. Notice Kyle has tightened it up again on Carl Edwards.
Kyle's fastest car on the racetrack right now. All of a sudden, it's starting to come back to him. Maybe his car was adjusted for a long green flag run, and he's starting to come into his own.
That's Mike Bliss in the 19. He is in 34th position, now 8 laps down. He's having a rough day.
We'll pit 5 laps, 5 laps.
Well, you just heard the word. That is Carl's radio. They'll pit in 5 laps, so 117. Remember, we pitted back on lap 51.
We got the first one on pit road now.
Jeremy Clements coming down pit road.
Side by side with Brian Scott in the 11, the 31 of Justin Allgaier. That's the battle for 10th.
Justin Allgaier has been working hard to maintain the top 10.
Jamie, here comes the 2 of Elliott Sadler.
Remember, Elliott Sadler's had a streak of 4 top 5s in a row. That's not the case today. They need to get the car better. He's still a little bit tight. 4 tires, a half round, and fuel. They'll fill it up with Sunoco fuel as they work on the right side of Elliott Sadler's car. They've just been struggling, searching what they need to make this car faster. And you guys, KHI, very fast, typically, here at Nashville.
Pretty long on the right side of that car. This is going to be about a 16-second stop. And it's critical to be your best on these green flag stops. You don't want to give up any more time than you have to.
And unfortunately for Elliott, this race is starting to unfold similar to what happened last night in the truck race. He got mired in the middle of the field and could never really get back.
It's a good point, Marty. And, you know, we got to give some attention to the racetrack itself. It's really darkened up. You're seeing cars running higher than ever before. I've never seen them run this high. We've had a lot of green flag racing.
Well, I tell you what, though, guys, Austin Dillon is doing an excellent job of maintaining his track position. He has stayed inside that top 6, 7, 8 all day long. I'm really, really impressed with the run that this young man has had early. As we close in on 125 laps to go, that means it's only 100 laps to go, and that is a short track shootout race.
Now we are past halfway. We've knocked down 114 with a 111 to go. And that is the battle for the race lead. Coming up on Morgan Shepherd in the 89. Shepherd is soon to be 3 laps down. There's Blake Cook in the 81 peeling off and heading for pit road. Here comes the 22 of Brad Keselowski, Jamie.
On a scale 1 to 10, he says he's a 4 loose, which isn't that bad. They're going to put a round of scuff tires, 4 scuff tires, air pressure adjustment, track bar adjustment down for the 22, Dave.
And of course, Kyle never satisfied with the car. He feels like they got the rear of the car correct last time. He wants Jason Ratcliffe to go to work on the front of the car. Help that be a little more stable, help it turn just a little bit better. Looks like they're going to do that with air pressure, fill it full of Sunoco fuel, and 4 tires. Here on lap 115.
Carl Edwards just peels down onto pit road. Also, Reed Sorensen is in. Dave?
Sorensen on pit road right now in that 32 car. Remember, he was quiet for a long time. He said the last pit stop helped tighten the center free off now for them as they make adjustments to the 32 car.
Sean Pete, our over-the-wall man. Shannon?
Carl Edwards are going to continue with air pressure adjustment, guys. As you see, taking a little bit of time getting off that jack stand onto all 4, but it was an air pressure adjustment for Carl Edwards as he pulls down pit road. Dave?
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is in on pit road. Loose entering the corner. Neutral in the middle of the corner. That's not a bad thing. Loose going off the corner. You see the wrench going in the window. They'll make a chassis adjustment and air pressure adjustment for Stenhouse. Jamie?
And David Rudiman. Good to see him in a third RWI car for the first time this year. 4 tires and air pressure is the call. Needs to get the car a little bit better. He showed a lot of speed yesterday and today. Now the 20 of Joey Logano making his way down pit road. He was your pole sitter today for the 3rd time here at Nashville. The balance of his car, he said, is getting a little bit tighter. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment. You see him pull into his box there. Air pressure already done on the front 2 tires only. Track bar adjustment, fill it up with Sunoco fuel. The boys work around on the left side. You saw the back. They were a little bit slower than the front. Having trouble there on the left rear. They had a hung lug nut earlier. They continue to work long stop. Dave?
16 of Trevor Bayne is on pit road now, and as Trevor comes down for service, he was before this round started. He was running in the 8th position. He says the rear end of the car is loose. Again, that was sort of the same kind of thing that Kyle Busch was pointing to. So Trevor trying to get the rear end of that car working well. During that run, he lost a couple of positions, so they'll try to get the handling back in that Mustang for him. And it looks like they're going to go just to the air pressure adjustment at this point for Trevor Bayne.
So while they continue work, we'll tell you also the 62 of Michael Annett came in, and it looked like he was out of fuel, just barely made it to his pit stop. Eric Almirola's in. Shannon.
Well, as I just told you, Eric Almirola very loose. He says, tighten this baby up. So they're going to continue going on the track bar, go back down on it one more round. They're going to take 4 tires and fuel for Eric Almirola in the number 88. Guys?
Also a penalty for Blake Cook. Too fast entering. In fact, he's already served his pass-through, but it's going to cost him at least 1 lap. I can also tell you a net slow pit stop. He is shown right now as 2 laps down. Now there is your race leader, Carl Edwards, with Kyle Busch, and they're running 1-2 after cycling through. Now Eric Almirola was credited with leading a lap, as was Trevor Bayne as they cycled through the pit stop. So there is your top 5 right now, with Keselowski, Logano, and Stenhouse behind Edwards and Kyle Busch. We've got 105 laps to go.
Well, let's watch Kyle Busch leaving his pit stall.
Almost gets Austin Dillon in the left rear there. Wow.
Missed him by about 2 feet.
Very impressive.
Hey, as long as you missed, that's okay. Time to check our 5-hour energy rapid recap, and a good save early for David Rudiman. Unfortunately, after a penalty, he finds himself 1 lap down in 15th position. Last night, Kyle Busch led all but 10 laps to win the Camping World Truck Series race. He's going for his 8th weekend sweep of the Truck Series and Nationwide event. And early on in this race, he had some work to do, as he was in a lot of traffic. In fact, one point going under, Joey Logano even had to go onto the apron to make sure there was no contact between the two. And then he managed to work his way on through, as Austin Dillon in that 33 was one of the guys who has really been impressive, running in the top 5 most of the day. Had a close call here. He's coming into the pits, and it's Kyle Busch going out. Carl Edwards has led 106 laps now, and he's opened up about a 9/10 of a second lead. Let's check in with Shannon.
Yeah, guys, Carl Edwards took a little air pressure out of that right front on that last pit stop. He now says that the splitter is hitting the ground just a little bit, but doesn't think it'll be that big of an issue. Says he's just slowing him down a little bit. But you got to give a lot of credit to his crew guys on pit road. The first pit stop today, 13.5 seconds. It was was a little bit slower on the second pit stop. They tried to hold him on pit road just so they could pack that car full of fuel. But these guys really getting it done for Carl today.
Well, another thing got it done for Carl. Right during the commercial break, they came up on 2 cars with Josh Wise in the 7, Stephen Wallace. They were fighting to stay on the lead lap. They couldn't do it. And then they were fighting each other for the lucky dog.
Yeah, they were fighting each other for the lucky dog. And it gets really busy here with Carl Edwards, a faster car, coming in on you. And as a driver, you try to push a little harder and almost always slow down because of it.
Watch when he gets past Stephen Wallace here, though, how much he pulls away as they get on the straightaway back here. You see Kyle Busch coming into the picture. He's going to get hung up. He's going to get hung up in the Josh Wise, Stephen Wallace race trying to maintain that lucky dog position. Look at this car pull away. Look at him pull away from those two. Kyle Busch gets hung up. It gives Carl a little bit of an opportunity to stretch out his lead over Kyle Busch.
And it's now 1.3 seconds thanks to all the traffic that Kyle had to negotiate. So that gets you caught up on exactly why Carl is out in front. Now it's up to Kyle to reel Carl back in.
Easy for you to say.
I know.
And we heard that Carl took a half-pound out of the right front of his car. He would do that because he wants a little more grip.
Whoa, this is getting a little interesting. How about the battle for 11th? As you've got the 11 of Brian Scott and Elliott Sadler going after each other.
Inside of 100 laps, 94 to go. Brian Scott's going to pick up the pace a little bit, be a little more aggressive, and take that spot to get himself into the 11th spot there.
That's David Stremme in the 70, and let me update you on him. He's 20th place right now, 2 laps down.
Wow.
Elliott Sadler and Brian Scott have got their spotters in their ear saying, listen, the leader's coming.
Yeah,
do whatever you got to do.
And Sadler's the last car on the lead lap. I mean, we only have 12 cars on the lead lap right now. In fact, there's Carl coming into view.
Elliott's our in-race reporter. I kind of wish I could call him and say, man, you better get up on the wheel. It's time to go.
You could try it, Brad, but I think he's busy right this moment.
Yeah, I think he knows.
All right.
Carl's lead has now been cut down to 1 second, so Kyle chewing into it a little bit. He's coming up on the 14 of Eric McClure. McClure's in 31st position, 6 laps down, soon to be 7. How about the battle for 13th between the Rusty Wallace teammates? That's Ruderman on the high side. Going around the 66 is Stephen Wallace.
David Ruderman's been battling.
Oh, hang on to it, Stephen.
Big save.
No, not quite.
That's not good. That's not what you want.
Gathered up here.
It'll be our second.
All right, caution's out now.
If you're wondering, the record for the fewest
back up before they come around.
The record for the fewest cautions is 3 here at Nashville. So here's our second, occurring on lap number 135.
I think there's 2 things there.
Flat right front tire.
You heard him say flat right front.
David Ruderman is coming off the corner, and Josh Wise and Stephen are still stuck together racing there a bit. David's going to go ahead and cut on down and go rolling back down the straightaway, and you see Stephen just basically breaks loose and loses the rear end of the race car and can't gather it back up.
What was important about this is they were racing for the lucky dog position.
Yeah.
And believe me, they were aware of that.
Yeah.
As I said earlier in the race, you're most vulnerable when you're underneath another car because you can't turn back to the right.
Just a little bit loose there and gets over exaggerated, just can't hang on to it, trying to maintain that position racing. Josh Wise behind him and David Ruderman on his outside.
Outside. Gathered up here.
Caught it the first time and then
caution's out now.
Catch it the second time.
It ends an 80-lap green flag stretch for us here at Nashville Superspeedway. And Stephen has made it in and back out of pit road, but it's going to put him further down. Shannon?
Well, your race leader says it's just a little bit free in the center. They are going to take 4 tires is what they're saying, and a little bit of a track bar adjustment. They're going to go down on that track bar. Dave?
Kyle Busch, second place, as it gets down in the corner, then slides the nose. I don't have time for it to slide the nose. Track bar up 1, 4 tire change in Sunoco fuel. Jamie?
And good news for the 22 and the 20, both saying cars are getting better. Brad Keselowski says we have more grip. We need to keep working. We're not far off. Joey Logano, he says that is the best the car felt all day. Let's try to get a faster stop this time. You see it 7.6, only right side. The car is getting better down on the track bar. Good stops.
And with Joey taking no tires, 3 positions he gains. We'll see if that pays dividends.
I'm not surprised Austin Dillon takes 2 tires because they've only got 20 laps on the tires, so the left sides can carry that
And you made the observation earlier in last night's truck race, left sides wore very well.
Wore very well. In fact, some of them were gluing the left sides back up to go back on the truck. So
you better get a whole bunch of something. The way Carl Edwards is running right now, you're going to need more than 2, 3, 4 tires. You're going to need all the help you can get. Hang on, Steve. Bring it back to the house.
Well, sometimes in racing, no matter how hard you try, you just can't get it all to work for you. And that's David Ruderman making a great save. Had a penalty that put him back, and he's a lap down. Then Stephen Walsh brought out our second caution as he turned it around, and he finds himself now a lap down as well. Should tell you also, Ruderman did get back on the lead lap now. We also have a bunch of wave rounds, total of 13. Not going to be able to list them all for you, but we do now have 14 cars on the lead lap. Jason Leffler's in the lucky dog position here on the restart with Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, first and second. That's Carl Edwards on the high side.
We're finally going to get to see what Carl Edwards can do in traffic. Spent most of the day out front in clean air.
Yeah, we've got the heavyweights all up front, including Reed Sorensen, who's made his way up to the front of the field here, starting 5th.
Carl's got his hands full with Brad Keselowski. Keselowski's got the preferred low line, and there's Reed Sorensen. Also, he's going to stick his nose underneath there if he can.
Austin Dillon, Ricky Stenhouse are coming.
Austin Dillon, remember, took 2 tires.
Eric Almirola makes his debut getting up into the top 10 here, getting up to 8.
Stenhouse in the 6 with the 33 of Dillon on the high side.
All of these teams are studying
yep.
little
Yellow. Debris off of 2.
We've got debris off of turn 2. In fact, I thought I saw something hit Joey's car right on the first lap, but it looked like it wasn't anything really, massive or that did any damage.
I saw Dillon lose the nose there. I thought he was going to get loose and turn it around, but obviously it was something on the racetrack. So.
All these crew chiefs are going to focus on the 33 car. This is the 20 of Joey Logano. I don't see anything missing there.
That's the piece. That's what we saw. And if we go back to the first lap on the restart, you'll see that he does hit that, but can't tell. It doesn't look like that's nothing more than maybe a piece of foam or rubber. There's the crew out to pick it up just to make sure. Jason Leffler is enjoying this because he's going to get the lucky dog. That'll put him back on the lead lap. And it's 15 cars now on the lead lap. Let's go back and show this to you again. There you see it, and watch what happens.
Yeah, it looks like some rubber tubing.
Joey's kind of committed. He can't really drive around it.
Yeah, he punts it. Well, while we've got a quick moment, let's dial up the in-race report and talk to Elliott Sadler, and he's running 11th right now.
Elliott Sadler, Brad Daugherty, you got a copy?
Yes, sir, I do.
All right, man, this is 85 laps to go. It's like running back at South Boston back in your late model days. What do you have for them?
Well, we're still working on our car. We got to get a little bit better. We just been fighting tight all day. Just my fault. I got to tighten it up a little bit last night. Probably went a little bit too far. So we're making a little bit of adjustments and a little bit of improvement here this last 2 runs. So we'll see what happens. We'll try to go get them here at the end. We're still in position. Still got, they say 85 laps to go. Anything can happen. So we just want to keep this momentum going.
Elliott, Ricky Craven, looks like the cars are a handful in traffic. Will you consider a 2-tire stop toward the end?
No, I don't think so, just because we got to work on our handling a little bit better. You never put 2 tires on a bad handling race car, so we're going to keep adjusting on it, keep 4 fresh tires on it, and we'll take it from there. I know it is, track position is very, very important, but handling is also as equally as important, so we're going to focus on that right now.
Thank you, Elliott.
And while you guys were talking, Justin Allgaier and Josh Wise both came in to get fresh tires and fuel. Wise will be coming back out in 13th, Allgaier in 14th. There's your top 5 after 141 of 225 laps here at Nashville.
NASCAR.com.
Well, let's get you caught up on the calendar because NASCAR Now is going to be on Tuesday, 5 Eastern on ESPN2. And then the next stop for the Nationwide Series is at Richmond, Friday at 7:30 with our friends over on Speed. Then the O'Reilly Auto Parts NHRA Spring Nationals. Qualifying is next Saturday at 6 Eastern. Finals next Sunday at 7 Eastern. Both of those on ESPN2. All right, let's listen in. The guys were having some fun. First Carl Edwards, then Kyle Busch.
You guys are doing real well down there today. I mean, just smoking them.
It's kind of nice being down here kind of by yourself, you know, where you're not in all that mess down there.
Yeah, 10-4. That was my plan in qualifying, you know, hold back a little bit, help you all out.
Yeah, I know. You did a great job there.
And we'll get to Kyle's later. Kyle made a reference to Ron Burgundy and Anchorman. So let's reset it for you. Logano is going to start on the inside. Kyle Busch's teammate alongside. Then Keselowski, Edwards, Sorensen, and Stenhouse. Here we go.
Yeah, Joey was not as quick through the gears as Kyle was. This is going to be really interesting, turn 1 and 2. You see Kyle drive in way deep. Will it stick? It's going to stick, and he's going to clear him off of turn 2.
When Carl Edwards is going to follow him. And Carl's going to take over second.
A reversal of roles here. Now we got Carl chasing Kyle. Let's see how this turns out. You see Joey Logano in third get loose in front of Brad Keselowski.
Well, get ready, because this is going to be the first lap that Kyle Busch has led here today at Nashville. In fact, he's led only 22 laps in his last 2 wins combined. And whoa, look at this as the 22 gets slammed on both sides.
Wow,
and then Stenhouse gets into Brian Scott.
Stenhouse lost the back of his car in the middle of the corner.
Oh, look out, and Brian Scott's got damage to the right front and flying through the infield.
All right, guys, be ready here. Be ready. We've got some damage right front.
He manages to keep it from coming back up the racetrack.
We got right side damage, Kevin, pretty heavy on the right front.
He was running 9th at the time.
Pit road right now.
Just goes to show you, we've bragged about how this young man's been so patient and put himself in good positions the last several races, and all of a sudden today he gets in the wrong spot, gets booted, gets punted, and has got a torn up race car.
It's a product of restarts. You know,
yeah, it is.
75 laps to go. There's always a sense of urgency.
Yep, time to go.
Now they're going to evaluate the car, see how much damage they have.
And the word from NASCAR was they were throwing a debris caution when all of a sudden all this broke loose. Let's go back and take a look.
See what happens here. See Brian going into the corner. Austin Dillon on the outside. Elliott Sadler right behind him.
Debris was down in 3 and 4.
See, he gets up, he comes up, slides up in front, he gets on the brakes, it looks like.
I think he got a little loose there.
He did. Looked like the rear end came up because he was a little bit loose.
Had to get out of the gas.
Yep, got out of the gas, maybe touched the brake just a little bit. Got run over.
Yeah, it was no fault of Austin Dillon. That was just a product of him rolling out of the gas in front of him.
Oh, man, that's a tough lick on that right front, too.
Good job there to miss, and I couldn't tell whose car that was. Let's go on board with Trevor Bayne.
Digging. Out of the throttle here.
Caution for debris. Caution easy. Watch your wreck in front of you. Inside, easy. Nice, bud, nice.
Yeah, that easily could have been 7 cars.
Now the debris comes from the 15 of Timmy Hill. There it is, coming off
his car. Yeah, he's smoking like he may have a motor letting go.
There's another piece. There's a bunch of pieces.
He's got a blown tire.
Blown tire.
Yeah, look at that. I mean, it's blowing the fender and everything off that car. Shrapnel's flying everywhere.
So that's what initialized the caution, and you can see they're doing work on Timmy's car, and he's the points leader in the Rookie of the Year battle, but this could set him back. We'll come back and reset it for you as they pound on the 11th. Back here at Nashville, Tennessee. The only bad thing about every time we do this, the music starts playing, and Brad wants to start singing.
See
what I told you? That's been the longest part of this day, I guarantee you. All right, we're back at the Nationwide Series 300 here in Nashville. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. Way to go, Elvis. Cats whining. Yeah, I know. We're still cleaning up the debris from Timmy Hill's tire, letting go and literally shredding the fender on that number 15 car. And remember we told you about one caution ago, the conversation with the 18 with Ron Burgundy in the mix. Here it is.
You know what I love? I love lamp. Okay. I got it. I got it only because your wife's sitting next to me. Otherwise, man, that was way... I don't know if it was over my head or not, but I definitely need to watch a little bit more Ron Burgundy there, bud.
So obviously Jason hasn't watched Anchorman, the movie.
There are several ways to distract your crew chief, and that's the best one I've seen in a while.
And that's wife Samantha on the right.
Samantha's filling in Jason on what's going on. All Jason knows is race cars, man. He ain't got time to watch any movies. He's working on that race car.
Kenny Wallace is going to get the lucky dog. That puts 15 cars back on the lead lap. And Kyle will be the race leader, along with Edwards, Logano, Stenhouse, and Keselowski, your top 5. And we mentioned the fact he's only led 22 laps in his last 2 wins, California and Talladega. Well, he's all up to 6 now.
He's washed up. He might be washed up. You think he's done?
I think he's becoming more strategic.
You think he is?
He
maybe more conservative. You think he's becoming conservative?
Yeah, I'll get back to you on that.
Just numbers, just numbers. This young man can get up on the wheel, and he can absolutely drive the wheels off his race car.
Nobody can go the distance. We are going to have 74 laps to go when we go back to green flag.
We're going to have a great restart. This is getting exciting. Getting inside these 75, 74 laps, and it's going to be interesting to watch these guys sort it out.
Okay, let's see. Where is Kyle going to go now? It looks like he's going to take the high side. So he'll be on the outside. Carl will be down low. And they slow it down as they get ready to approach the restart line. There is the first line right there to the right of your screen. Green flag flies, and here we go.
Carl stuck with him, didn't get jumped by Kyle. Kyle's really good at getting a big jump on those restarts, and Carl Edwards is right there digging with him.
The high side is going to prevail off the exit of the corner. You're going to see him clear Carl. He's going to get a run down the backstretch, but he's going to have to go through this again once he gets down here.
Here comes Joey Logano trying to get inside of Ricky Stenhouse.
Yeah. That's right. Stenhouse doing real nice right now as he's got that number 6 Ford hanging on. Logano's going to clear him, though, with the low preferred line. Here comes Keselowski. Keselowski went all the way to the apron to get around the 6.
Brad's down there digging. That car is really starting to come to him. Good restart here for Brad Keselowski. Kept up with the pace. Now he's trying to get that thing up towards the front here. See what happens.
That's that urgency, you know.
Yeah, sense of urgency.
It's time to go. We've got inside 75 laps of racing left. You've got to make your move.
Trevor Bayne, he's trying to make a little progress towards the front.
Road.
Yeah, saw Austin Dillon sliding up there. You know, this battle for the lead, it looks to me like the 60 car is still stronger.
Okay, there are certain times statistics are amazing to me, and I don't know how Jimmy Hicks and our crew does it. Kyle Busch has never won a race where Carl Edwards has led over 100 laps.
Interesting.
It might change today.
Yeah, because Carl's led 112 and Kyle's out in front. We're going to find out if that statistic holds up. What is that always about, though? Records are made to be broken.
Figures lie and liars figure.
You see Austin Dillon on the high side. Remember, Austin got 2 tires. That doesn't seem to be working or suiting him that well right now.
Boy, and David Rudeman fighting his way back in that mix as well. He's running in that 10th spot in that 64 car. Remember, he had that near spin, made a nice save, had the penalty earlier, got a lap down, and here he is back in the mix.
He needs a pat on the back. He is getting that thing back up towards the mix. He's done a super job of maintaining composure after those 2 incidents. So give him a pat on the back. You can see why he's a Cup veteran.
Austin Dillon going to follow along underneath the 16 of Trevor Bayne. Boy, Trevor got close to the wall.
He did. A little loose. Austin Dillon's just trying to hang on right now. Looks like that race car will not stay down towards the bottom of the racetrack. So he gets through the corner here and watch it push up just a little bit. Has to get out of the throttle. Same thing for Trevor Bayne. Both these guys are battling right now, trying to just stay in the hunt.
You see where Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is, and the points right now are in position, and then where Justin Allgaier is, we see Allgaier's 31. Do you realize right now they would leave here basically tied for the lead?
Wow.
Yeah, that's great.
If it stays the same. Of course, we're still far from being done. But again, it always makes it so simple to figure out the point system. It's been fun then.
Yeah, it is.
Look at these 3 cars here. Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, and Ricky Stenhouse. And the 6 car is actually fastest of the 3. Let's see how the young driver sizes up the 2 drivers in front of him with more experience.
It's 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and that's what we were talking about with the points. There would be a 4-point gap between 1st and 5th.
Pat on the back to NASCAR. They've made this thing interesting. Great point system structure in the Nationwide as well as the Cup Series. Every race counts, every position counts, and that's the way it should be. On board with Brad, and it looks like he is going to get the high side to work for him on the 6. Well, I'm watching Carl Edwards, guys, and even though Kyle Busch is in front, Carl Edwards just looks like he is motoring down the back straightaway and into the front here. Man, he's flying. Well, as they come by this time, Carl and Kyle, 1-2, fastest cars on the track.
So you see Carl Edwards slide up a little bit. He's looking for some clean air on the right of your screen.
Left side, Stenhouse has got back around the 22.
Ricky Stenhouse, yes, sir.
So he passed the first one.
Up the fourth.
He's got his sights set on Logano. And the car looks really good through the middle of the corner, the 6 car.
See what he can do with Joey Logano, who's Joey's running comparable lap times to the leaders, just off just a tick or two.
There's first and second. Then you drop back about 2 seconds to third and fourth, which is Logano and Stenhouse, then Keselowski. These two are trying to run away and make it their own little private game.
They are indeed. And, you know, watching Carl Edwards move around the racetrack again suggests to me that he's trying to find some grip, that he hadn't spent much of the day behind another car, and he's struggling with it.
Kyle has now led 15 laps today. We mentioned already, Carl's led 112, the most of anyone.
You know, at this racetrack, Ricky, how much would the turbulence affect that race car behind him? I mean, would it really make it that much more difficult for him?
Well, here's the key, Brad, is that Carl Edwards has been adjusting his car all day, giving information to Mike Beam all day based on being in the front.
Yeah.
And so they've adjusted the car to drive away, and now he's having to find a way. And typically, you want to get by the guy as quickly as you can on French tires. He didn't do that, and I think he's paying for that now.
You saw right behind there Timmy Hill in the 15. They got around him. Timmy is 33rd, 9 laps down after having that tire let go, bringing out our 4th caution. And here at Nashville, our current leader is Kyle Busch. The man who's led the most laps is Carl Edwards. And the current points leader, who's running in 4th position on the track, would be Ricky Stenhouse by 1 over Justin Allgaier and by 3 over the 32 of Reed Sorensen. Right now, main focus of attention is on the battle up front with 64 laps to go, as Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards are now 3 seconds ahead of 3rd.
Wow. Unless Carl Edwards is really tight, still got in the back of my mind he's got a little reserve here, you know, and he's obviously very bright. But I don't see either of these two cars showing any signs of deteriorating. They're going to continue to drive away from the field.
Yeah, they are. They're pulling on away. I thought for a second there Ricky Stenhouse was actually going to make a little bit of time up and get caught up with Joey Logano simply because of their lap times were decent. But now Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards are starting to gap them. So.
Significant.
Wow.
2 or 3 tenths a lap.
Wow.
We see Kyle Busch slide up. Now, he'd been on the bottom for the last 15 laps. Let's see how he approaches this next set of corners.
I'll tell you, Elliott Sadler really hadn't gone anywhere either. He's kind of stuck right there in that 12th position. Thought he would be able to move forward. He's really struggling.
Well, Kyle Busch won here back in 2009. Carl had his last win here in 2007. Right now, they're running 1-2. Our 5th caution here at Nashville Superspeedway has just come out, and we believe it's for debris down in turns 1 and 2. It's going to mean that the 99 of Ryan Truex is going to get the lucky dog. It'll give us 16 cars back on the lead lap, and it also wipes out about a 5-second lead that Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards had stretched over 3rd place, Joey Logano and Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Very interesting. I'm glad we get an opportunity to bunch the field back up. See if Logano and Stenhouse can maintain pace, keep up.
With 56 laps to go, we're now inside the window. Everybody can make this their last stop. So now, do you go 2 tires or do you go 4?
I think most of these teams have spent the day on 4 tires, and, you know, with 56 laps to go, they're going to need a full tank of fuel, so that'll take a little while. But
might as well get 4. You
think back to last night, Timothy Peters took 2 tires with 45 laps to go. And he went from 13th to 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, if you do take 2 tires with the fuel, I mean, it does give you a chance to get the track, and it is very difficult to pass here. It's just a matter of how long you can hold off someone on the restart.
What you don't want is a bad pit stop right now.
Well, you see what happened.
You'll be done.
You see what happened here today. We went 134 laps with just a total of 1 caution. Now we've had 4 in the last 35. And my point would be simply this: as they come down, if you can't beat those first 2 cars with 4 tires, how are you going to beat them with 2?
I still think track position is everything. I still think that if you can hold them off temporarily. Shannon, what do you have down there for us?
Well, it's going to be 4 tires for Carl Edwards. He says the car's a little bit tight behind Kyle Busch. If he gets out front, it will haul. It's that fast. Dave.
Kyle Busch's car is just a tick tight. They're going to go a half round up on the track bar, 4 tires and fuel. Ricky Stenhouse running 4th. He comes in the pits. His car also a tick tight. They're at least going to make an air pressure adjustment on that car. Jamie?
And And Joey Logano's been struggling with his stops today. The rear changer has been replaced. Pedro Martinez is the man on the bubble now. He was with Brian Scott's 11 car. They just put him in. He put his helmet on, and the pit stop came out. Doing a fine job. Good stop for Joey Logano. 4 tires, no chassis adjustments.
And a couple of guys decided to take no tires. Josh Wise and Justin Allgaier. They pick up a lot of spots. Sadler picks up 8 with 2 tire changes. Kyle loses 5 with a 4-tire change. Edwards loses 3. This is going to be interesting on the restart.
I just asked Elliott if it takes 2. I think his crew chief had a different idea.
You're going to have to drive it, baby, hard now.
Back here at Nashville Superspeedway, we're getting ready with 53 laps to go, 52 next time by. And let's reset it for you. Josh Wise, who took no tires, is going to restart on the inside. Then Keselowski, Allgaier, Sadler, Edwards, Kyle Busch 6th, Stenhouse 7th, Logano 8th, Dillon, Sorensen, Leffler.
Hang on.
It's going to be volatile, guys.
This is going to be a big one.
You got real disparity here with old tires, new tires.
13 total waiver rounds as we go back to green flag racing.
Old tires, new tires, 2 tires, no tires.
Your 2 fastest cars
there
are back.
Look out. Yep. Who can hang on, who can't.
And Allgaier's hanging on already.
10 laps, baby. If you can stay put for 10 laps, you'll have a good chance of separating yourself from the herd.
Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, whichever one can get to the front first may determine who wins this race.
Yeah. Josh Wise out front.
Don't count Brad Keselowski out of this mix. There he is in 2nd place. Looking to give Dodge its first win of the year in the Nationwide Series. There you see Joey Logano going underneath Justin Allgaier, and Allgaier's already probably second-guessing that decision.
Yeah. He's got his hands full, and he's hanging on. Hopefully it'll subside here in another 5, 8, 10 laps.
But Josh Wise out front here, guys. He's doing a good job holding Brad Keselowski off thus far. Brad's sniffing that bottom.
Sometimes you never know how good your car is or isn't until you get into clean air.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, Josh Wise right now doing all he can to hold off Keselowski, the 28-year-old from Riverside, California. He's raced at this track 3 times. His best finish before this has been 16th.
He looks up in his rearview mirror, though. He's going to be saying to himself, here comes the horses. Here they come.
Kyle trying to clear Brad Keselowski into turn 3. Carl lined up behind him.
And if Josh slides up and opens that door, here comes the 18.
And he did.
So Josh's hopes of becoming
Brad Keselowski gets in between them. Oh,
contact.
Man, Kyle goes up the track a little bit. Brad is digging hard.
Yeah, I don't think any of them planned on 3 wide there. That's where they found themselves.
Now Josh is starting to slide back even farther.
Here comes Carl and Ricky Stenhouse.
Stenhouse is around the 7. Oh, and the 62 of Annette is into the wall, bringing out another caution, our 6th.
Boy, those RWI cars have struggled all day with grip. All 3 of them have been loose all day.
Annette and Steven had worked their way back onto the lead lap through the lucky dog situation and the waiver round.
Feel it out, Michael. Your track bar broke. Wiggle the wheels so I can watch it on TV.
Annette's in 19th place right now. Let's go back and show you exactly what happened.
He was already sideways before he comes into our screen there. Not a whole lot of people around him. Don't know if someone got into him and tapped him or what happened. But
it's what we call overcorrecting, when you put too much steering into a spin and it snaps back the other way.
So what it means right now is we have 18 cars on the lead lap. It looks like David Stremme might get the... Well, there'll be no free pass, what we're being told.
So, hey, this is good right here, guys. I like these restarts with only 48 laps to go, Marty. Man, this is what we want.
You're going to have Kyle Busch lined up first with, unless he chooses the outside lane, he'll have Carl behind him. Now, that'll be interesting. Do you think Kyle will take the outside lane?
I don't know. He did the last time, so we'll find out. Let me clear up one thing, that the net situation, he had taken the wave around to get back to 1 lap down. He would have been the lucky dog. He caused this incident, so that's why no lucky dog. All right, let's take another look from Stephen Wallace's viewpoint on this situation. He's running 16th right now, and he's watching his teammate go around.
64, his teammate got into him. 64 got to the 62.
We'll take another look.
Wow.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at Nashville is brought to you by Progressive Insurance, making it easy to shop for car insurance. The Principal Financial Group. It's time to see your financial future. It's time to dream again with the Principal. And Klondike Ice Cream. What would you do for a Klondike bar?
All right, we're under our sixth caution, and we did take another look at that during the break. And yes, David Ruderman got loose and did get up into Michael Annett. That's what turned him around, and we'll show you that again. Well, we're being told we'll get to that. Also, we should point out that obviously Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski are going to line up side by side, and we're waiting to see which side Kyle is going to go. Okay, now we're told we got the video racked up. Go ahead, guys.
Kyle thought that he was I'm sorry, this is the right. So you see David Ruderman get loose up ahead here, about 4 cars ahead, and he has to steer back to the right to correct his car.
Stay low.
When you're underneath another car, your responsibility is to take care of yourself and the guy to your outside.
Yes.
All right, now this is from earlier. Remember when Kyle sort of comes up on?
They're all trying to get by Josh Wise there. Kyle comes up, and Brad Keselowski, who we know does not give, takes the line away, and he and Kyle get together. Now they're side by side on the restart.
Guys, it doesn't take much damage for these cars to affect them.
And notice where Kyle Busch is lining up, guys.
Let's go get him. Here we go. Kyle's going to get that restart. Here comes Brad.
Carl Edwards in third. Ricky Stenhouse in fourth.
I heard somebody hit the rev limiter on that restart.
Yeah, Kyle Busch just is the best on these restarts. He just slaughters them, and once again, he's gone.
Carl got a little bit loose under Brad Keselowski, and as a result, he's not able to clear him. In fact, he has to fall in behind him.
Here comes Ricky Stenhouse. Boy, he is flying. He got a good run off that down the back stretch.
Stenhouse looking to go underneath his teammate Carl Edwards. Further back, you saw a couple of guys go 3 wide down the straightaway. And so the inside decision to take that inside line by Kyle Busch pays big dividends here early.
It's going to get crowded again. It's going to get really crowded.
That's Eric Almirola in the 88, the 31 of Justin Allgaier. That is for 11th and 12th. Austin Dillon's in that mix as well.
Yeah, you got a big gaggle of cars that are all running the same speed. Boy, it is jammed up. Looks like downtown Black Mountain, North Carolina at rush hour, baby. Cars coming. He's making a move. Joey Logano's on the move.
Side by side, the 38 of Leffler, along with the 31 of Allgaier as that battle continues.
Teammates, it's always uncomfortable racing late with a teammate. You see, Jason Leffler gets a little bit loose, a little bit high, has to surrender the position.
Kyle is starting to back up just a little bit to Brad Keselowski. Carl Edwards is really strong. They're coming. They're going to be on him here in just about a half a lap.
Edwards was 4/10 faster than the leader that lap.
Looks like Brad's holding him up just a little bit.
Well, we've got 41 laps to go, an average final green flag stretch for the last 9 races, 42 laps. In fact, we've never had a green-white checker here at Nashville, one of 3 tracks.
Brad Keselowski got a good forward bite up off turn 2. Good run up to Kyle Busch. Here these guys come.
Carl Edwards is taking a little higher arc into the corner, and that's to get a run down the straightaway. Now let's see. Watch this run down the straightaway for Carl Edwards.
Side by side, sucks a little side draft, gets a little air off of Brad Keselowski,
and he makes the pass.
That was all a product of his corner entry. You know, getting in a little light, high, and getting back to the gas earlier than Brad Keselowski. Now he's got to size up Kyle Busch.
And these 3 have pulled away by 1 second over Joey Logano in 4th. Let's check in on the 60. Shannon?
Well, just some slips on these last 2 restarts for Carl Edwards. Over the radio, his crew chief told him, calm down, relax, regroup, and go get him.
Well, he's gotten one of them.
He has. This is the hardest that Carl's worked all day, and I've seen his car out of shape for the first time all day. But he's got to study the 18 car, and he's got to decide, try and determine where Kyle Busch is weak, if he's weak, and he needs to capitalize on it.
Boy, Mike Beam's done a great job with this 60 car all year long. He's brought some great race cars to the racetrack. They're always well prepared, ready to go, and he's made excellent calls all season long.
And again, that's a brand new car. That's never seen the racetrack until this weekend.
Incredible.
That car sat on pole 3 times this year. Of course, they had the win back at Texas.
Austin Dillon and Elliott Sadler racing really hard back there for 9th and 10th. Look at these guys. They're wheel to wheel.
Side by side, and that's Dylan in the 33 getting ahead of Elliott. And look at Almirola trying to take advantage of the opening as well. That is 9th, 10th, and 11th.
Eric has done a great job with this car considering how ugly it looked yesterday.
Yeah.
And it didn't start today much better, so he's done a great job managing the race.
Look, guys, Josh Wise, he has maintained position. He's currently 6th and is doing a really good job. Got a great restart, got past, but is able to stay up in the with the leaders.
Side by side, the 31. That is Allgaier and the 88 Almirola as they go into the corner.
You're going to see the 31 need to drift up, make clear, and he just couldn't clear him. And now you sort of lug the engine down. You lose 200 RPM. The car on the high side has the momentum.
Here comes Carl Edwards.
Side by side, going for the race lead. Carl Edwards gets a nose in front, gets a quarter panel in front. Can he hold on to it?
Well, that 60 car is so strong.
But Kyle's coming back.
Kyle drives in a little deeper in the corner, rolls it off the corner a little harder. Watch this 60 car, though, just pull. Look at him pulling. Look at him horses, pull.
It is very, very difficult to drive in the corner deeper than the car on the outside.
Yeah.
But he's able to get it done.
On you. All clear. Trying to come back inside. Just be ready looking inside. Inside. He's there inside.
Oh, they get together just a little bit.
That's why this track is so difficult.
Still with you.
Okay, you thought Carl had the pass completed, but when he drove in that deep, he drifted up
back
in the
to
middle.
the 22 on the bottom. Still there.
Still side by side. These two have finished 1, 2, 13 times.
Still inside. Still there.
Try and be careful and pass Kyle Busch for the lead.
That's an oxymoron.
Still there. One back, 22.
This is great. Side by side with 34 laps to go.
Still inside. Still there. Still there. Still in there. Still there. Still there. Hanging about one back on the bottom to 22. Still with you. Still there. Still in there. Still in there. 59, clear. Clear. Good work. Clear. 22, 1 back now. Get your rhythm now.
Well, we just let the spotters do all the work for you, and that was fun. And it allowed the 22 to get back into the mix because there is Brad Keselowski. Remember, he had fallen back a little bit.
Okay, so as a driver, you want your spotter to tell you only the important information. Tell me as little as possible, but what I need to know. And that's what you all just listened to.
Well, I really think Carl Edwards just enjoys racing side by side with Kyle Busch. I'm going to tell you what, I think he's got a little bit left in the tank with it. I think he's playing a little bit of possum right here. I think that car is stouter than he's showing right now.
Could be, but you know something, Brad? The respect they showed one another there without making contact, racing for the lead, I really applaud that.
Yeah,
I admire it.
Great racing. Great racing.
Well, remember last year's race, Brad Keselowski passed Carl for the final lead change with 22 laps to go when he won here last June. He still got 31 laps.
You got to wonder if they took any goodness out of the tires running that hard. If this goes green the rest of the way, that may come back to haunt them.
Ooh, come on back.
Well, when we talk about concrete, you've got to talk about Kyle Busch because in all 3 NASCAR Touring Series, he has a total of 21 victories. He's tied with Kevin Harvick for 7 in the Nationwide Series. And, of course, if you just flash back less than 24 hours ago, he won again in the Truck Series, looking to make his 8th weekend sweep, winning both the Truck and Nationwide races at the same venue. Although one guy's standing in his way. His name is Carl Edwards, who has won more here at Nashville than anybody else, 3 times. And Carl has opened up a half-second lead, and we're down to 24 laps.
They got a nickname for Carl.
Is it asphalt, Carl?
No, it's not asphalt.
Cinder block. Oh, concrete Carl. Yeah, concrete Carl. That's what it is. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, that 60 car is stronger than a mule on the straightaways. He is absolutely pulling away. And I think that, like I said, I think he's playing a little bit of possum with us right now. I think he's got a little bit more left.
Kind of felt that way most of the day, but we'll see. You got Austin Dillon battling with Josh Wise. Josh Wise has done a great job considering he took no tires on the last stop.
Great call by his crew chief, Tony Uri Jr. He's done an outstanding job. Dave, you got more on that 7 car for us?
Brad, you know what else Tony Jr. told me? He said, I need Josh to be a little bit more aggressive. Everything he's ever raced, he's had to take home and work on himself. He's only messed up 1 quarter panel all year long with our car.
Wow.
I think that's maybe why he left him out without tires, or actually just gave him fuel and gave him the lead. That's forced aggression on Josh. Like you guys said, he's hung in there.
Boy, isn't that a problem a car owner or a crew chief would love to have. Your drivers only tore up 1 quarter panel all year, and you got to tell him to go a little.
Got to pull him, got to push him a little harder like that.
Well, Austin Dillon has gotten around him, and again, another strong performance by this 20-year-old youngster. He finds himself in 7th position. He's about 1.8 seconds behind Trevor Bayne in 6th with the laps winding down, but still a good run for the 33.
Well, you really like the mentality that Austin Dillon shows when he's in the race car. I mean, this is the converse of Josh Wise. This is a young man who we're all going to look at and say, okay, he's got everything. His grandpa's Richard Childress, and he can have it all, and he can go out and do it. But this young man has paid his dues. He has gotten better every year that he's been participating in the Touring Series, and he needs the respect. He needs to be given the respect that he deserves as being an outstanding young race car driver. He gets better and better and is destined to be a superstar.
Not that he had to legitimize his existence, but he's certainly done that. He's run so well in the Truck Series. He's run well here today. And then there's Reed Sorensen, who started off slow. It looked like the car was getting better and better and better. And now he's settled in 9th. But I don't think he's done. He's got a couple cars in his sights in front of him. Josh Wise.
He has been quicker than Josh. Josh's tires, I think, are about letting go for him there. It's just given up. And Dave, what have you got?
Well, on Reed Sorensen, remember early in the race, he was real quiet as he now looks underneath Josh Wise off of turn 2. He was real quiet on the radio. That's when his car was best, just before that round of green flag pit stops around lap 115 or so. But they made a change, and that made his car so tight. He was screaming on the radio. They finally got another adjustment back, and he's begun moving forward since then.
We've got to remember that if we go green the rest of the way, these drivers are going to have 45 laps on their tires when the checkered flag drops. Which of them were best on the longer runs? Reed Sorensen, as I remember, got better as the run went along.
Yeah, he did.
Drop back a little further, check in on Eric Almirola. He is running in the 10th position, 13 seconds behind the race leaders right now. And while we're doing this is because the margin between Carl and Kyle has not changed. It has stayed consistent at a half second. Gives us a chance to catch up on some of these guys.
Yeah, Eric is he's been in that 10th position most of the day. He's worked really hard to maintain. He and Pops Uri are really working hard trying to get this race car better every week. They've struggled at times this season on their consistency and good feel and balance with this race car, but a good solid effort today could yield a top 10 result.
One of the hardest jobs for a driver is when you have a 10th or 11th place car, as we watch Justin Allgaier here, is to bring it home 10th or 11th.
Don't overdrive it.
In your attempt to try and get a top 5 out of that car, you end up on the hook in the DNF.
Yeah.
And we talked about how the points can swing so quickly right now, especially amongst the top 7. In fact, if the race ended right now, the top 7 would be separated by 7 points.
Isn't that something? Wow.
Allgaier looking to get around Mikey Kyle. Mikey is 5 laps down in 30th or 29th position, I should say. That was easy for me to say.
Easy for you to say.
Let's move back up front, check in on the race lead, because there is the 60 of Carl Edwards as he goes around the damage of Brian Scott. Scott's 2 laps down, now make it 3 in 22nd position after having that tag with the wall. And there is Kyle Busch, and Kyle is still that half second. That margin has not changed. Keselowski, we can tell you, has dropped back 3.6 seconds behind the race leader. So right now, with 16 laps to go, it's Carl's race.
And Kyle has to be careful he doesn't use whatever goodness is left in these tires. I know that Dave's got something on us for Kyle Busch. Dave, what do you got?
Well, Ricky, trying to get a little explanation on why the 18 is falling back. Listen to the radio. Brad said something about horsepower in the 60. Listen to what Kyle had to say.
Must be nice to drive up off the corner like that.
Yeah, they got some HP. I mean, just make sure your fans are on here. Take care of it. We'll get another opportunity before it's over here.
I love your optimism.
Jason Jason Ratcliffe confident they'll get another chance under caution, but I'm not so sure at this point. And Kyle said about lap 190 also that he had a vibration. He may be backing off just a little bit to take care of that.
All right, Dave, thank you. As you see Jason on the right side of your screen, they're trying to track down Carl Edwards. Carl, we can tell you, has just crossed 400 laps, led in 2011. He led only 478 all of last year.
I mean, guys, and I said it a while ago, you're just sitting here watching this race and looking just with your naked eye at that 60 car go down the straightaway. It is absolutely eating this concrete alive as he pulls down these straightaways and the backstretch. It is making some serious horsepower.
And it's been this way forever.
Yeah.
It's a little misleading. When you have a car that's running as stable, as good as this 60 car is through the middle of the corner, it translates to a lot of straightaway speed.
Look at that. Look how smooth he is. He's holding a pretty wheel, Ricky.
He is indeed. I have not seen the 60 car out of shape a half dozen laps all day. And you see him making a pass here. He's driving with one hand. It's so easy.
He's ordering a Coca-Cola with the other. He's thinking, I'll give me an ice cold Coke. Can you have some fries and a burger with that?
Can you make change?
Puts Mike Wallace a lap down again. Mike running in the 18th position. 17 cars now on the lead lap. And there is the 18 of Kyle Busch at, again, same gap, about a half a second.
Yeah, not able to close that gap at all. Brad Keselowski is back even further, like you said, so kind of starting to spread out here.
The worst news for Kyle is that Carl doesn't look to be working hard at all, and he's maintaining the lead.
That's the point, Marty. No question. See, the asset you have in Kyle Busch is that he can carry a car.
Yeah.
He can squeeze a couple extra tenths out of a car that is disabled or not performing perfectly. We saw that last week. He won with a car that was damaged. Now the liability is that you don't know what it's doing to the tires as a result.
You see the 22, Brad Keselowski going through the screen in third place. Then it's Logano, Stenhouse, that's fourth and fifth. Trevor Bayne all the way back there. You see we're looking for Elliott Sadler, our in-race reporter. He is all the way back to 12th. Jamie, what's going on?
Yes, it's one guy that we expected to run much better today, and he ran the truck race last night, finished 18th, and he went back and told his crew chief, Ernie Cope, we need to tighten this thing up. Well, he took the blame and said they just went too far. Now, after adjusting all day, he's too loose. He said he can't even catch the guys ahead of him. You see there, clear sailing, clear track. He's running around in 12th.
And this is why everybody, we were kidding him about being a rookie at Nashville. But anytime you go to a new track, new team, new car, you got questions you got to answer. They're going to come back here later this year. They'll be a lot better.
They will be better, and it's that process of working through the communication. As a crew chief, Ernie has to understand or discover, what does Elliott react to? You know, we've been through 7 races. He's reacted to this, this, and this. He hasn't reacted to this, this, and this, and that process will continue.
Yeah, and it's different. Ernie worked obviously with Kevin Harvick here last year, and they were really, really dominant. And now he's here with Elliott, and they've got to understand, get the language down, get the feel down, and have better communication between those two as they move forward. But they will get to victory lane and be a threat for this championship, I do believe.
So that updates you on Elliott Sadler's situation. He's in 12th. Kenny Wallace is running in 13th as he's got another good run going. 20 seconds behind the race.
Yeah.
It's a great job by Kenny Wallace.
And just to let you know, also a little further back, David Ruderman's running 14th, Leffler 15th, Truex 16th, and Stephen Wallace, the last car on the lead lap. Friends, let's check in on Kyle Busch's radio.
Best the car's been all day, man. Just sorry we didn't have enough this weekend. I mean, we worked like hell in practice. I don't know how to work any harder, you know.
I think the white flag just went up.
Yeah, I mean, he ran in the first practice yesterday. Kyle Busch ran 43 laps. The next closest was like 21. I mean, he's talking about working hard yesterday. He worked his guts out trying to give his race team the best opportunity through feedback. He's an incredible onboard computer, but it's just not enough right now.
Jason Radcliffe says, hold on, buddy. We're going to get one more shot at this. What he's referring to is a caution. If we get a caution, there's no guarantee.
No, and he's the best in the business at restarting. You saw the last restart. He pulled the field by 8 car lengths. So if we get a caution, it is on without question.
You saw Stephen Wallace going a lap down again, so now that means 16 cars on the lead lap. The margin still the same, about a half a second.
You see the 18 car drifting a little high off the exit of turn 4. He's squeezing everything there is to get out of this car. Why not? There are 5 laps to go. Wear out the tires. Give us all you got. A little bit surprised to see Carl Edwards actually come up off the bottom a little bit in turns 1 and 2. You just don't know how hard he's working and how much reserve he has. We're going to find out here in the last 4 laps.
The last lap, they were 1-2, the 2 fastest cars. The bad news for Kyle is he's still 1/10 of a second slow.
Yeah.
Let's see how they come across this time. And this time there'll be 4 laps remaining.
You got to give Carl a lot of credit. You know, he's managed his game all day long. He hasn't shown any urgency. He's taken what the track would give him. When he was behind Kyle, he didn't push the issue. He waited, and he seized the moment when he had it.
That's right.
Last lap, they were almost identical. In fact, 8/100ths of a second separated the 2 of them. And this time by, there'll be 3 laps remaining for Carl Edwards to pick up his 4th victory here at Nashville. The margin, 7/10 of a second. Third place, Brad Keselowski is 7 seconds behind.
7 seconds behind in third.
Wow.
Battle for 12th between Elliott Sadler and Kenny Wallace. We talked about Kenny having a good run today. Remember,
walking him down
early in the race, he was complaining. He said, "I smell something bad."
Yeah.
And it turned out not to be anything serious. Switched the boxes and
slow walking him down. Elliott's pushing up just a little bit. Ken, look at him. He's right on the bottom of that racetrack. He's going to get Elliott. He is going to get him.
And, you know, you think about the new system, every point counts,
yes,
every position counts.
Kenny having a great year this year. See if he can hold it down there.
And it looks like he is going to clear him.
Yep.
Check back with the race leaders because, as you can see, 2 laps to go. We'll be getting the white flag next time by. And Carl Edwards has some slower traffic. David Stremme right in front of him there.
Only thing going to say this is
one more time.
1.3 miles remaining for Carl Edwards and his 4th victory here on the concrete of Nashville and his first since 2007.
Boy, he's gone. Man.
Stremme yields to him.
Yep.
Carl sees a clear track in front of him.
There's nothing Kyle Busch can do at this point. Turns 3 and 4. Kyle making one last desperate charge, but the time and distance is going to run out. For his 31st time in his career, Carl Edwards sees the checkered flag first, with Kyle Busch coming across in second and in a distant third. 8 seconds
Think of
behind.
Jonathan Bunty and his family, all right? This one's for them, all right?
Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. with another top 5.
Great run for Carl Edwards. I guess he's going to have to consider old Turtle Man good luck.
I would say so.
Well, let's check in with Shannon. She's caught up with Mike Beam.
Well, the winning crew chief, it's been a while since Carl's gotten to victory lane here at Nashville. What was the key to getting it done here today?
Well, you know, we really struggled there yesterday, and Carl did a great job on his information and feedback. And, you know, Robbie and those guys built a great car. It's a brand new car, and really excited about it. You know, we were in the winter on this week, and just everyone in Concord, and, you know, they've really helped us. And, you know, with Ford Motor Company, you know, and Jack's and Doug Yates, I mean, the engines are awesome, and, you know, it couldn't be better right now.
2 wins on the season. What does this win mean to you?
Well, you know, it was really, it was a lot of fun. You know, we won here in 07 in the truck with Travis, and I think the first time I won a race as a crew chief was, you know, like 76, 77 with Butch Lindley up here at the fairgrounds, and I've been coming here a long time, and, you know, so it's a lot of fun, and, you know, I'm just very blessed to be part of it.
Congratulations. We'll see you in victory lane.
You see the crowd cheering. Carl wants to come up into the crowd.
Great backflip, great catch of the checkered flag. He's doing everything right today. Wait a minute, he's second guessing this move, I think.
the crew wasn't ready. They didn't remember the fact that he wants to go into the crowd.
This is great. Here I come.
That is outstanding. You don't take old Turtle Man with him up into the stands.
The last time that happened, he said there was a lady that would not let him go.
I love the way he acknowledges the fans and shows his appreciation to everybody that came out today. Wonderful.
So Carl will make his way back to victory lane. We'll get a chance to talk to him. Kyle Busch gave it everything he had. Second was as best as he could do today.
hopefully this is our turnaround race. Hopefully I can get another one of those guitars. It's probably the coolest trophy in motorsports.
Well, it was a great day for Carl as he was able to take that FR9 Ford engine. His pit crew gave him clean pit stops throughout the day, and then he did it on his own, getting around Kyle Busch late in the race and then opening up a half-second lead that he never surrendered, doing the black flip for the second time this year, the 31st time in his career, and acknowledging the fans, which has now become another trademark of Carl Edwards, winning in NASCAR. And he has made it down to victory lane, and Shannon Spake is there.
As Sam Bass hands that beautiful trophy to Carl Edwards. Carl Edwards taking his 4th guitar here in the Nationwide Series. A prized possession. Carl, I thought you were going to body surf for a second there in the stands. You talked about needing a perfect car, running the perfect line here at Nashville. How good was that car today?
It's a fast Ford Mustang. I mean, they're great on the street. They're great on the racetrack. I can't thank Ford enough for being on board. Fastenal, Valvoline, Wiley X, all the fans. I mean, those fans are a blast up there. That's fun. And what a race, man. That was just really good racing. That was as clean as we could race. It was really hard racing between Kyle and Brad and I. And I didn't know how that was going to end up, but I was pedaling for all I had, and Mike Beam did a great job. And what I'm going to do is Sam Bass made this great guitar. We're going to auction it off for Jonathan Bunting's family. We lost a really good friend who builds these race cars this week, and we're all thinking about him, and we're thinking of charity, his wife. So this will be on eBay. It's a beautiful one. Sam spent a lot of time on it, so we'll figure out how to get people directed to it, but just a great day. Glad we could perform for Jonathan.
Definitely 150 man-hours go into one of those guitars. Carl, I do want to ask you, though, the drag race between you and congratulations from Jack Roush. The drag race between you and Kyle, you did mention it. What goes through your mind as a driver when you have one of your biggest competitors next to you lap after lap at a place like Nashville?
Just glad we've got Doug Yates building the engines. I mean, this thing runs great. And I hit Kyle trying to side draft him one time, and I didn't mean to do that. Other than that, we didn't touch. It was as clean a racing as we could have. Brad kept me honest. He really ran me down, got me loose, and that let Kyle get by. And I mean, everybody was using every trick they had. So if the fans did enjoy that race, I don't know what to say, because that's as hard as we could drive.
Well, it was a little bit of a wait for Carl Edwards to get back to victory lane here at Nashville, but it was worth the wait. There's that beautiful guitar. Dave.
And Shannon, that's the 3rd time that Carl and Kyle have finished 1-2. This time Carl prevails. Kyle, why?
Just a little bit of lack of everything, a little bit aero, maybe a little bit chassis, just not quite getting the car to turn, a little bit down the straightaway. So, it was a good day. The Z-Line Designs Camry was a second best car. We knew that yesterday through practice. We saw it on the tracker. We worked our guts out to try to make some changes to it, and the guys did a great job. Just didn't quite have enough today. We saw that all throughout the race, and got out there, led a little bit, but knew I was only biding my time out there. So. Thank Nationwide Insurance, NOS Energy Drink, Toyota, the guys here came out to watch from Z-Line Designs, and so we had some fun, but all in all, if you look back on the season so far, it's been pretty good for us. We just haven't been able to, every time we've had a good run, we've been able to be in the top 3. Sometimes you have a bad run and you end up with a blown engine or a loose wheel or, getting spun out at Talladega. It's just, today was a good day.
Consistently good this year, that's for sure, with the 18. Jamie?
And Brad Keselowski had a pretty solid race today, considering how you guys started out, but you made the car better. You made part of the race exciting with those two guys up front. How was it from your perspective?
Yeah, we were solid 3rd, 4th place car today. I think Joey and I were pretty even with his car, but just need a little bit more speed. My pit crew was awesome today. I was really proud of them. Gained me spots on pit road, and I thought that was really nice, and proud of them, but just need a little bit more speed on the racetrack to throw them Roush cars. They're just so dang fast, all of them, and you put a guy like Carl in a car that's that fast, and he's going to find a way to win with it. So we just got to find a little bit more speed. We're not far off, but a little bit more speed, and we can run with them and bring home some wins for our Discount Tire Dodge Challenger.
All right, Brad Keselowski brings it home 3rd. Dave.
And the 5th place finisher is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Back into the points lead, yeah, almost. Technically, you're tied, but you're right there again. Talk about your run today.
That's pretty cool. It's cool to rebound back from Talladega. This team's got a lot of effort in them and working really hard. So Nashville's a track that we kind of struggled at, ever since I started racing Nationwide. And to get a top 5 finish with all those guys up there is pretty cool. And just got to thank Nationwide Insurance for putting on this great series and helping support us. That was a good racing for the fans. fans, and just glad to be part of it.
We told you in Countdown, his story's gone from mystery to thriller this year, Jamie.
And Joey Logano had a pretty solid race, but you guys battled through some things, had trouble on pit road. The setup wasn't quite right early on. How'd you guys end up?
Yeah, we were kind of nervous on what was going to happen with our Harvest Investments car, but we just we started up there, everything was good. We made our first pit stop, and we lost a lot of time on pit road. We give my normal guys a weekend off. They're my Cup guys, normally do my Nationwide stuff too, and they took the weekend off, so we just gave up a little bit too much time there, so we just tried to do whatever we can do to stay out of the pits. At one time we came in, took no tires, just fuel only, and was able to hang in third, which was pretty cool. I just feel like we were a third-place car, but we were a distance third-place car. The 16 and 18 were so far out there, but we finished fourth. It's okay. The cool part is we didn't even plan on being here, and we got a sponsor at the last second to go out there, and I think we're still leading the owners' points, so that's pretty cool too. So we'll see what happens from here.
Good news is the car was the best at the end. He brings it home fourth. Shannon?
And Justin Allgaier with 11th place finish, but more importantly, you are now the points leader officially. How was your day? I know you guys struggled with the handling of it a little bit.
Yeah, we really did. The Wolfpack Renault Chevrolet just wasn't exactly where we wanted it to be at. And I thought after practice last night we were going to be pretty good, and we didn't get the qualifying run we wanted, and that kind of put us back in traffic. And just struggled. That last couple of restarts there, we took fuel only, and actually the car was really good, and we could have maintained. But unfortunately, the first one, the 7 kind of checked up a little more than I thought he was going to, and got into 22, so apologize for him for that. And then the next one, we got put 3 wide and really lost some track position there. So frustrating, but thanks to Nationwide Insurance and all the guys for what they do for this series. This is an awesome series and a great race today. It was fun to watch some of it. I wish I could have been up there a little bit farther, and just glad to be the point leader. Thanks to everybody at Turner Motorsports, Steven Sandra Turner, for giving me the opportunity, and I guess we'll go on to the next one.
Best career position for Justin Allgaier. He is your points leader. Guys?
And let's take a look at the points, because there is a tiebreaker method, and theoretically they are at the same point right now, but Justin Allgaier would have the tiebreaker because he finished second back at Las Vegas, and you can see the top 7 separated by 7 points.
And what that tells us is this is going to change every week, I do believe. It's so competitive between those top 7 that each week we go to a racetrack, we can see a different leader and a big shift in the points through that 1 through 7.
And here's what registered to me is, we've been bragging up Ricky Stenhouse Jr. all year and how he's arrived and he's adapted to this car. He had some adversity last week at Talladega, a DNF, a poor finish, the first one of the year. He comes back with a top 5. No driver has more top 10s than Ricky Stenhouse. He's getting it done.
Well, and from here, obviously, we go on to Richmond and on down the road. And again, the question will be raised by some: who can break the stranglehold that Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch seem to have on winning the races? These guys are running up front. They're getting closer and closer. Who breaks that stranglehold?
Ricky Stenhouse looked really, really strong all day today, put himself in good positions. I think he is close to winning one of these races.
And to your point, Brad, he had what the winner had. He had that Ford Mustang. Yep. He had that Roush Doug Yates horsepower. That matters, and it inspires a young driver to know that, look, my teammate won today. Yeah. I've got more top 10s than anybody else in the series. We're headed in the right direction.
Well, the direction we're headed is to show you the ticket to the race, because we've got a great stop coming up with Richmond, on to Darlington and Dover, and then Iowa. That's always a fun stop. And then Memorial Day weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway, on down through the list. And that's how you can log on and phone and get tickets. We hope to see you at one of those upcoming events. Let's check in now with Jamie Little.
Well, Trevor Bayne, we saw him all over our pre-race show. It's been a good day for you. Ended up 6th overall. We hear a lot about these cars, how you guys are handling your horsepower. How was your car today?
Yeah, our car was really good the first run. I didn't really know what to do except free it up a little bit. But then as the run went on, it got freer and freer. So I'm like, man, this is tough. You don't want to be too tight at the beginning or too free at the end. But every run, it seemed like the track just lost overall grip. It was getting freer every time. And then the front would slide if you tighten it up. So it was kind of that hard line to find. But right at the very last run of the day, I think we found a big thing. And we came from like 15th to 6th. So that was a pretty good comeback there. Led a lap. So I think we tied Ricky for the most points for a nationwide regular. So it's a good weekend for us overall. And we'll go have a good Easter tomorrow.
And you finally got yourself a top 10. Let's go over back to Marty.
And let's take a look at our motorsports calendar, Jamie, as we get a quick moment here. We'll kick it off with NASCAR Now. Tuesday, that's right, it's Tuesday, 5 Eastern on ESPN2. The next stop for the series, we mentioned, is Richmond. Friday, 7:30, our friends at Speed will have that broadcast for you. And the O'Reilly Auto Parts NHRA Spring Nationals qualifying next Saturday at 6 Eastern. And then the finals next Sunday at 7 Eastern. Both of those events are ESPN2. How about that Austin Dillon today, finishing in 7th? Let's talk to him, David.
Yeah, it was a great run for him, Marty, and 2 top 10s and only 8 starts for you. What was it like driving Kevin's stuff, and are you excited to do that 3 more times this year?
Oh, yeah, man. Anytime you get in one of these KHI cars, they're really fast. So I was really happy with Hyder and the whole team. Ream Chevrolet, thank you guys for letting us have this opportunity. It was a good run for us. Didn't have a scratch on it till there at the end, so I was happy with it.
Does that mean you understand Hyder? You get how he goes?
Yeah, he's fun. You know, he's a country boy. I kind of like me, so I have fun with it.
All right, very good. Austin Dillon, a great run today. Shannon?
Well, top 10 finish for Josh Wise as well in this junior motorsports car. You were up front for a while. Tell me about just racing up there and your entire day.
It was good. You know, we needed a good, solid day like today, and you know, these guys worked hard all through practice. We went through all kinds of changes and different packages, and they did a good job putting the best package in it. And you know, we just adjusted on it through the race and stayed out there on old tires. And you know, that was a good call by Tony Jr. to do that. Track position was so important. And you know, we were kind of running the same speed on old tires we were on new ones. So I just got to thank NASCAR the game for coming on board this weekend, and everyone at Junior Motorsports for their hard work.
Josh Wise's first top 10 in 2011. Jamie?
And a 4th top 10 as well for the 88, Eric Almirola. But, Eric, I see you talking to the crew chiefs. You don't look too happy.
Yeah, I mean, we got consistency on our side. We consistently run top 10, but we want top 5s, and we want to compete for wins. And we've just been off a little bit, and that's all it takes. And we can't seem to put our hands around it. It's not for lack of effort. We've been working really hard, but, I mean, I'm happy with it, with the top 10, but you want to run better than that. And our GT Vodka Chevrolet at times was decent today, but we weren't good enough to go up there and race for the win. And the competitor inside you makes you frustrated.
All right, well, I'm sure you have a lot more fans after seeing that feature earlier on today. Shannon?
And a 12th place finish for Kenny Wallace, who's back here in the garage. Whole family's here this weekend.
Yep. Come here, girls.
You told me you were really excited about this race and qualifying. So what was your day like?
Well, it was a good day, although, you know, my brother Rusty said you always got to remind them. So I'm a 9-time winner, right? Won 9 of these things. Haven't won since 01. And, you know, I just really want to win. So I figured I would put it out there this week on the social network that I will win. 12th isn't what we wanted. We wanted to be better, but we outran some great teams. And I told the boys, don't break it down. Don't over-diagnose it. We outran Turner, Rusty's team, a lot of great teams. We're going on to Richmond. And I'm a 3-time winner there.
And Kenny Wallace's motto this year is, I will win. Yes. Marty.
All right, thank you, Shannon. And good to see a smile on his face. He's always had the smile, but inside, you knew last year, the last few years, it was just killing him not being able to be in competitive equipment, and now he finally is.
Good run for Herman. He did a good job. Thought the thing was burning up, blowing up earlier, and ended up salvaging a 12th place finish, which is strong.
All right, I want to remind you one more time that the NASCAR Nationwide Series next stop will be at Richmond. It'll be Friday, 7:30 Eastern, and you'll see it over on Speed. And we wish them well with that. And coming up next, it'll be Sports Center right here on ESPN, as we have completed another stop, number 8 on the 2011 NASCAR Nationwide season. It was a great day from start to finish, a lot of excitement. Some guys like David Ruderman having a little more excitement than they really wanted, and even with guys like Stephen Wallace who slid it off. But no real major crashes, nobody seriously injured, and that's always good news. But a great finish between 2 guys. And for all of us at ESPN, this is Marty Reed. Till we meet again.